It's the Nightmare Before Christmas.
Happy Halloween.
And before people accuse me of using the wrong video.
No, you even using the Halloween thumbnail. That's great.
Why is it? It's not before Christmas yet.
I thought you were going to do the whole it's episode 4 bit because of the thumbnail you posted on Twitter earlier, but no, you're going for it's actually Halloween still bit.
It's the Nightmare Before Christmas. 2 weeks till Christmas. It's a nightmare.
Yeah.
Is that when the nightmare began? 2 weeks.
2 week long nightmare.
Jack Scallywag have 2 weeks to fucking kill Santa. Was that what he was doing? Was he trying to kill Santa? Take his job?
I forget. Remember. 2 weeks is the point where you can't order shit on Amazon and have it come in time by then.
Yeah, you're right.
Luckily in England we have really good Amazon Prime delivery, so I'm still within the window. But yeah, I've realized there's a few presents I still haven't got, and tomorrow is the day to go and get a couple of them. But
hi.
I'm not.
Hey, what's up? We're live, Phil.
Hello.
I didn't see you.
Stay decent, Phil. Stay decent. We're live.
Phil, take your clothes off. We're live. Get it out, Phil. Get the third leg out. or don't. I don't know. It's up to you.
What's on your head?
It's Halloween, so I put the.
It's the Nightmare Before Christmas.
It's the Nightmare Before Christmas, so it's a spooky spider.
Spiders don't have skeletons.
They do. This is a perfectly accurate spider skeleton. Look.
Nice.
We've all been lied to all our lives.
This is where the lungs go in the spider. Where do the spider's lungs go? Does the spider have lungs? Does spiders have to breathe?
No, they don't.
Fact, do you know spiders?
They breathe in a different way.
They don't have tendons and muscles like we do. They have hydraulic systems. So instead of pulling, it's pushing. So it's pressure based. So they're filled with like fluids that allow them to do that. And their exoskeleton holds all that fluid in. So if they get a fissure in their exoskeleton, they leak it all out and then they can't move anymore. And then they die. It's kind of a
that is cool. Yeah, it's so weird. Like insects and spiders are just so different than us.
Yeah.
How we normally think of animals. Like insects just breathe through these holes. They don't have lungs either. It's so weird.
Oh yeah, that is crazy. Yeah, I watched a little video of like how to not be scared of spiders anymore. And the guy was like, just think of them like little robots walking around, cute little robots. And I'm like, oh yeah, nice. I'm into it.
Spiders aren't scary. Spiders are awesome. They eat bugs.
Jumping spiders are very
they take
cute.
care of the.
They're adorable. I like spiders.
You would think that.
Well, they're the only woman on the planet that likes spiders, other than Allie. Anyway. Yeah.
20 people watching. That's not so bad for Liefeld streaming over us, that bastard.
Don't tell them that. Now people are going to go over there. Don't. You shouldn't.
Everyone, go watch a different stream right now. You have many that choose from. You don't want to watch
Stay here. Stay here. Also, we've got a great show for you.
We do have a great show. I want to say who else just started streaming, but I don't want you guys to yell at me.
Okay, well, we will yell at you.
I think we know. Is it start with the E and then a TH?
Ethan just started streaming, and he's e-fapping the Rob Liefeld live stream that's happening right now.
Oh my God.
It's an inception.
Well, we're going... Let's e-fap Ethan e-fapping.
No. Because I was like, no, they started at 6, so they'll be over soon, so we're good. And then Ethan e-faps it.
Well, don't forget, Ali's Game Over stream also starts in like 45 minutes.
What?
So.
Let's just tell everybody else all the other streams to go to other than this fucking show right here. So, Creative Block.
Yeah.
Esoterica. What are we talking about today? The X Factor?
Wait, everyone, how's everyone's week been? You know what? Last week, awesome fucking show. It was great.
What, you went to a show, you son of a bitch?
Yeah, I went.
You went out in public? How dare you?
Dinner and a show. No, it was great watching an episode for once, like Bancroft and Camel. That was fun. I really enjoyed the episode. I liked Camel versus Irene on Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, that was great.
Me against an uneducated person.
Lord of the Rings, George R. R. Martin. George R. R. Martin being mid or whatever as Lord of the Rings writer. What's his name? Who did Lord?
It's
J.K. What is it? J.K.
J.K. Rowling on. J.K. Rowling on the floor laughing.
No, what's his first? It's J.
Don't know whether you're serious. You're actually serious, Phil.
It's Tolkien, but what's it?
J.R. Jar Jar Tolkien.
I'm done.
Isn't it? Doesn't he have 2 initials? Why do all these people have 2 initials?
I'm quitting the show right now.
And there are all J's.
That comes up in today's show, a little bit of Lord of the Rings stuff. Some esoteric shit in that, maybe.
Last week, Irene threatened to quit too, and then Phil's response was, "But Jake's not even here." I didn't really know how to pass that. I'm like, "What? She can only quit if it's because I piss her off?"
Very confused.
What do you mean?
I don't know what Jake has anything to do with me.
I don't remember that. J.R.R. Tolkien.
Jar Jar Tolkien.
Yes.
George.
That's why.
R.
That's
Tolkien?
why George
like,
R.R. Martin chose the name to copy him.
It's a Catholic thing. Like, you get this whole middle name, like a Dublin. I don't really know, but anyways, I know when you get confirmed as a Catholic or some shit, I think you get like 2 middle names, and so George R. Martin picked R.R. to be just like Tolkien.
Well, it was a great episode, and it was that was the first time I've not been voluntarily not been on an episode. So my first absence where we haven't all been absent.
I hope you enjoyed having a real life and human interaction.
It was really good.
What'd you do?
Well, damn
what did I do?
Did you go bowling? Did you go cosmic bowling?
What is different about cosmic bowling to regular bowling?
They don't have cosmic bowling in the merry old England?
Is this like laser tag fused with a bowling?
No, it's like the whole bowling place by day looks like a regular bowling place, but then when they turn on cosmic bowling, all the black lights come on and the balls glow and there's like lasers and you probably have like a pit bull blasting in the background. You know?
I can't go anywhere near a black light, especially in public.
Oh.
Anyway, Jake, the next time you do dinner and a show,
you
do it Wednesday or Friday.
A platypus? You can't go near a black light in public?
Really? You don't care?
Wait, why do platypi can't?
Sweet innocent Irene.
No, because I know it's a joke. Nobody here got a joke. Jake, I literally sent you that video. That's what I mean. So platypus, their fur glows in, or platypi, their fur glows under black light naturally.
They're called platypussy.
Yeah,
they're poisonous too.
It's because the natives keep ejaculating onto them.
Speaking about ejaculating onto them. Last time I was on the show, I did some failed 3D prints. Asked for Phil's advice. Radio silence. No advice. And there was definitely some advice Phil could have thrown my way. But yeah, I finally got like a little successful print. This is like it's like 3 parts of Chun-Li from Street Fighter.
Is that why you quit for a week? Because Phil
because Phil vexed me. But yeah, like look, and I did this is like my own design because like one of the troubles was it wasn't sticking to this plate. So I like decided to make this like thin. It's too thick. It's way too thick. But I'm gonna do this thin lattice as like a couple of layers over the whole plate. So like if any bit of it doesn't stick, it'll all be like held on by this. But yeah,
it's a pretty smart idea if you're having it for some reason it's not sticking.
Well, the real advice, Phil, would have been to put lube on my plate. To lube, get lube for the film.
Are you supposed to lube it?
Do you have a plastic film and the resin and it pulls it out?
Yeah.
You never had a problem with it sticking to the film?
Yeah, sometimes, but
it's okay. It's very exciting.
I don't know. Let's just stream about you guys talking about 3D printing after the rest of the show.
Noel's really excited about this one.
It's getting hot in here.
I'm excited for this one.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We can kind of jump in. What about? Oh yeah. So your week you were gone. You abandoned us, and now you're back. That's nice. And I don't know what the other thing. There was a whole bunch of stuff with Mark Miller. That was cool. Him standing up for the retailers. The retailers. He did a live stream with them. They gave one really good point that was kind of interesting, as they said. They need more 200 issue runs, or because they keep resetting after 4 and nobody keeps buying or whatever. And like, that's part of what sustains it. That one interesting thing about that too, is like a lot of people are kind of the opinion that we've already lost a manga. Floppies are never coming back. But what one of the things they were pointing out is you actually have 200 stores with dedicated people working for sometimes less than minimum wage as your agents to sell these. And like that's actually kind of a huge force. And with certain things in place that could see like a return at some point. And yeah, even the prices isn't that much of an issue. It's like $5 even or whatever, even $6 for like a 28, 32 page comic. Isn't that crazy? So it kind of got me optimistic. I was like, oh, maybe he can come back. Maybe they can save it, whatever.
Yeah, I just feel like nothing's really unified on, because there's so many different levels to the chain, right? You have the publishers and the creators, and the publishers are forcing whatever books they want to push into these stores. And so the stores are at the mercy of the publisher, and then they're the middleman for the customers. And listening to that interview that Mark did, I don't know, 2 days ago, was super eye-opening. In fact, one of the guy that was right to Mark's, I guess it would be right, the guy in the first spot, I think his name's John Robinson.
Yeah.
He's the owner of Graham Cracker Comics, which is huge over here in Chicago because there's 13 stores in Illinois. I think there's one in Wisconsin, and they're like an actual chain comic shop over here. And that's the local one that I go to, is the one near me. So it was cool to see him on there, but yeah, it was really eye-opening. And you're right now, if that was, I guess, if a plan was put into place where all of those links on the chain worked together and fed each other, things could be a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
How many people are in that system that would rather see it burn down than admit that they've been wrong for quite a few years?
Oh yeah, it's kind of a lot. Yeah,
that's the problem though. And I think it's good that it seems obvious. Well, people finally are speaking up, and they're just not giving a shit about cancel culture, and how Millar has been approaching it has been perfect. That's exactly how you should approach it, and that Glenn guy as well. But I wonder if it's too late, because this has been going on for so long. It's been almost 10 years, like 7-8 years, and everyone's been too afraid to say something, and the people that have said something have been canceled or like called all kinds of names. So I don't know if it's too late. It might be.
Yeah.
If anyone can kind of lead a sea change, you'd think Miller would be one of them, right?
I would, but it's like 7-8 years into this catastrophe.
Yeah.
And if the books don't get better, then what? Like, how are you going to save the shops, right?
Well, one of the guys, Phil, I forgot his last name, but he had a good point where it's like, he was saying that he doesn't have an issue with, the diversity to an extent in comics. But the thing he has an issue with is it's in every book, and now they are maligning or shunning books that other consumers would like Punisher, something that, that's been a mainstay in the industry for years, that has this, sense of justice and a vigilante justice thing. Now they're making that bad. So people that are really pushing these other ideologies can't cohabitate with creators that are pushing, some other genres of things that worked so well back in the day, but now they're considered misogynist or toxically masculine. So the people that are getting what they want in this industry are also being like, oh, look at what that guy's getting. That is not right. And we have to shun them, push it out. So the thing that I'm pushing is the only thing here. And that's where customers are just stopping to go into shops, because they're like, oh, the stuff that I like, it's not in here anymore. So there's nothing for me.
That's a really good point. Like, the issue from the beginning wasn't diversity. It was that comics in the traditional form were being pushed out and they were changing what already existed instead of creating something new. So he pretty much vocalized, again, what's been going on for years and years. But how is that going to change, right? Do you think the industry is going to have guts to say, no, like, punish yourselves, we're going to print this, and Peter Parker the way he used to be and Superman the way he used to be sells, so let's go back to that, and if you have a problem with that, we're going to fire you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Mark Miller said one other super interesting thing, because they were talking about like Vault Comics and like some of these other like indie comics where they're just doing Netflix pitches, and someone was saying that retailers are like, I don't understand how they stay afloat. Like, how are they making money? Because they say, I've actually seen, I might order a couple copies of a book, give them a shot, it actually gets 0 sales. I've never seen any of these books get sold at all. And Miller said, he said, it's my understanding that there's a lot of venture capital, and they are playing the Netflix game. That's what they want. They want the Netflix pitches to get picked up. But he's like, that's not a good bet these days, because they're kind of using like the older model when Marvel was doing at the absolute height of its prowess. That was when Miller did his deal with Netflix. And like now Marvel's like super low. So nobody's really looking to pick up comic companies for millions of dollars right now. It's like a bear market or whatever.
Yeah, like if like the big flicks, like what is the most recent Disney one that just like went to shit? Did they release the Marvels and it was just terrible?
Yes.
Like if the biggest thing is a huge flop, why would anyone want to invest in the same stuff across the board? Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah,
that makes sense. Kind of, and that's also an argument of why it is in everyone's best interest to rehabilitate Marvel and DC if we could. One other thing real quick is they're talking about Mark Waid being a complete asshole on Facebook. And one of the things he said is he's like, I'd rather watch the industry burn than like side with the alt-right is something he said. And the alt-right is like
still a thing.
Yeah, it's like
that's the dumbest shit. That's like, well, alt-right breathes air, so I'm going to stop breathing air because I don't want to do what they're doing.
I don't know if it even exists anymore.
Yeah, and
bullshit,
the alt-right
like,
too.
Alt-right.
It was kind of a gay op back then. It was like the alt-right was this thing. It was like the alternative to the uniparty Republicans. What are they called? Like rhinos, like kind of annoying warmongering Republicans. There was like this populist movement of people being like, oh, I just don't want that. And then they were calling themselves the alt-right. And then there was like, it was like a CIA type thing. It's like they ended up readjusting the definition through the media after the fact. And then going back and like, attacking anyone who had previously said before any of that context had been added, then they were attacked as claiming that they were like neo-Nazis or whatever. And then Mark Waid fell for it. But what's crazy is they're actually trying to do that with Mark Miller. They're fighting so dirty, like, and I think he's kind of finding out, like, I don't think he quite knew how fucking crazy they are. And it's kind of a bummer because a lot of times his line for something, he's like, it's just like 12 assholes. And when he said cancel pigs, I think he was thinking of like 12 people. And I think he might have realized
it's like now he knows how bad the problem is. Like all of them have been keeping their head down and ignoring the issue, and now it's an actual issue. And they won't now. It's so obvious that they don't cancel you just because you're actually like a Trump supporter. There's none of that. Like Miller hasn't been talking about his politics at all. It's just been if you disagree and you say there's something wrong with. They're not pushing for diversity in a real sense, and they're ruining the industry. Well, you can't say that. Suddenly, you're all right, and you're agreeing with Comicsgate, as that's a bad thing. But it's very enlightening.
The good thing about this Mark Miller coming out and saying this stuff is it'll give other people courage to do that if
definitely
they haven't been for a long time, which could be misconstrued on jumping on a bandwagon or whatever, but we'll see in a next year.
Said a little something, just a little tweet, but it was kind of cool,
right? The time will tell to see who actually is going to be voicing their opinions for a while or is going to go work on
it. Real quick, it reminds me of Pete Samedi when he got, it's that meme they say where you go both sides have okay points, then the left pushes you and the right catches you, and the left's like they're like, "Are you okay?" And you're like, "Yeah, I think so." And then the left's like, "Why are you siding with them?" or whatever. That happened to Pete Samedi like 2 or 3 years ago. And I remember at the time when it was happening, I was like, man, if somebody is nice and normal and is middle of the road as Pete Samedi, who's not political, if they go at him and call him Comicsgate, you just know like they're crazy, and they're the bad guys. You're on the right side or whatever.
Well, a lot of people are like that. It's kind of a misnomer that everybody who is Comicsgate or disagrees with the mainstream, everyone's a right winger. That's not true at all. I think it's gone to the point where if you like Punisher, then suddenly you're alt right, and that's how they're framing it. So how are they going to go back on that? That you've already said that any Punisher is like an alt right symbol or like misogyny and whatever. So are they going to admit they're wrong? Is that anybody?
Never.
Does anybody imagine that happening? Exactly. So how do we fix this? Yeah, they can't admit defeat. They have to admit we've either bought into our own lies or we've been gaslighting you for power. And sorry. Well, that they're never gonna say that. So it's fucked. We're fucked.
Hype Wizard, are you clicking something? Stop doing that.
Sorry.
Not at least not in the mic.
I realized my mic was that good.
Jesus Christ.
Fucking hell, sorry.
Gone 1 week and
you're really interrupting Irene in the middle of a good point.
I know. Obnoxious.
Dude, remember, Narwhal, remember when you had a bare microphone that you would hold and it was connected to one wire like 2 months ago, and you were on other people's streams and everyone's like, Narwhal, what's that sound? Tinfoil.
Oh yeah, I could never hear it, but I guess other people could.
That's the whole. That's
I wasn't affected by it.
You would never be able to hear it, no matter what you would think.
Yeah, it's true. Cool. Well, maybe I'll start this presentation. I don't have a good segue.
Speaking of fixing comics and how to make a hit.
You need the X Factor, guys, or maybe not.
Yeah, I put out a tweet a few weeks ago. I was like, what is the X Factor? Got lots of good responses, like at least 50, a ton of different things. There were some things that came up the most. Titties came up maybe the most, which is kind of funny. It's like, in a way that's true. It's not directly true, but it's sort of true in just like the feeling of like, not being like modern and puritanical or whatever.
It can be gas in the tank, but you need the engine to make everything move.
Yeah, but the thing that I settled on kind of why it kind of relates to esoteric is that the whole point of the X Factor is you actually can't explain it. So you're trying to figure out what it is. That's kind of why they call it the X Factor, like X representing like we don't know what it is really, but it's something. It's got that something, that special something. You can't quite put your finger on it, but it's there. And that oddly enough totally overlaps with esoteric, which esoteric, it's from, I think it's Plato. He came up with these terms like exoteric is what you talk about and esoteric is what you don't talk about. And if you think of esoteric, that's kind of like, it's everything you don't talk about. And we'll get into more of that kind of stuff. But like alchemists, the secrets of the alchemists, how to make gold from like lead and water or whatever they do. That's like esoteric knowledge. That's like, it's deliberately kept secret. It's deliberately not passed on. And it's almost like a code, like Fight Club. Fight Club is almost like esoteric. Like first rule about Fight Club is you don't talk about Fight Club. And that's not in the presentation, but shit like that, it comes up here and there. It's in kind of interesting ways, these stuff that if it's hard to put in words, then you're still trying to grasp at some of the stuff. And I have in the slides, like things come up, but I can think of examples. I'm getting ahead of myself, but we'll just go slide by slide for a little bit here and see, and we can pause if any slide provokes more discussion. But yeah, the X factor is the sum is greater than the parts, hard to quantify, accidental, question mark. Like it does feel like it's kind of the thing, like you can't plan it. If you plan it, it wouldn't be an X factor. Alchemical, which I don't even know exactly what that kind of ties it to esoteric kind of thing.
Sure.
But transformative is kind of what alchemical could mean. And also alchemical kind of means like it kind of has within it like the sum being greater than the parts. That's the whole point of like the creating gold and all that is you know, like what even like energy, like getting a perpetual motion machine, like that kind of thing is like
right. Or the term like lightning in a bottle, right? That's
yeah.
your ultimate goal, but there's no way of doing it that you could teach to someone else. There's no steps that you could take to get there, you know?
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
it's somewhat accidental in a way, but it's not like, well, if you just keep throwing stuff at the board without thinking about it or making an effort in towards a certain direction, then it just complete chance. Like anybody in the world has a chance of having a hit. I think in general, with the exception of very rare cases, the X factor sort of like I think on another blog show we're talking about how nobody who's reinvented a wheel has set out trying to reinvent the wheel. All they did was create something genuine, and I think that is at least the first step. It's creating something that has depth and layers to it because it's genuine to that creator, and therefore it's new.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't think if you went into a project being like, this is the one where I'm going to boost the X factor to the max.
Right.
That'd be kind of A, hard to do, B, you might jinx yourself, which is jinxing, oddly enough, is an esoteric spell, which we'll get into that. But
oh, I'm learning about magic today. All right.
Yeah. Finally.
So lightning in a bottle, it's like Phil mentioned that one is kind of tied to timing, and timing is one thing that you totally can't control. That is totally an X factor thing. And another one that comes up a ton is collaboration, where how did these two people meet to actually work together to do what they did at that time? And that's kind of timing goes with that. But I'm like, one thing about that is comics often don't have to be collaborative. So I'm like, is there even, with how that works, it could just be one person working on it, and you can still have some of that magic of the way collaboration, the timing, and can still kind of play into a project, even if it's solo. But that's almost like an argument for like collaboration is kind of special. But I don't know, like is the next slide examples? Yeah, so I like Star Wars is like a definite example, like had a huge X factor. Obviously, one of the crazy things is just, for example, like John Williams doing the music. The music is so iconic. It's almost like just as good or better than the movie. And I'm like, what are the chances that would happen, that they would even meet? And more, there was more geniuses all met to make it possible. And when you're like, they all met in one spot and made a project that was super awesome.
Yeah.
And it just kind of feels like, what are the chances? With Bob, I wrote down Boba Fett. With Boba Fett, it's like that's when it feels almost a little bit accidental. Like I don't think they planned for Boba Fett to be like the best-selling toy. You know, like this guy really is just like a bounty hunter. Like, and they're like, no, he's like the coolest. Whatever, people love him, and they always have. And you can't exactly explain why. I guess if you try to explain it, you're like, is it because he has a badass helmet? Like that's like part of it sometimes.
Right.
Everything you're saying so far, all it's saying in my head is it's the opposite to formula. It's just pure intuition. Like it's perfect intuition. It's the opposite of constructed formula. Like say George Lucas is like coalescing certain things to make the first Star Wars and is working with other people who are also doing the same thing. It's like they all have a hot streak of like really good a sweet spot hot streak of intuition, all of them that just manages to line up. Like they just manage to go into a flow.
Right.
And then it comes out from that.
Yeah, and if I recall correctly, I think you're onto something about it's very intuitive, and I think that ties into how it's that X factor comes a lot from creating something genuine. You can't design for that or strive for that and just know, oh, now this is like the perfect formula. Correct me if I'm wrong, 'cause I don't know that much about Star Wars, but weren't the films that they were hard to make, right? Because it was a risk. It was like this weird thing that hadn't been done before. But because Lucas was so insistent on it, he found a way to make them, and it was this hit that came out of nowhere. And the same for the Lord of the Rings films. Nobody would fund them, and at first they at first Peter Jackson almost had to cut everything down into one movie, and then it was 2 movies, and then he just absolutely refused. He's like, I am not going to make this because it won't be done right. I have a vision. I want to honor Tolkien's work. And he did it right. He did this wild thing where all 3 films were filmed back to back with no name actors at the time, except for like, I don't know, like obviously a couple of exceptions. And it was a massive hit. And I think it's because the people that worked on it were dedicated to their work. And that kind of ties into how, you know, how the stereotype of a lot of painters is they were not accepted in their lifetimes because they were just so weird and out there. But then it's like Van Gogh, once he dies, it's like people realize his genius, which is really sad. But there might be a factor of, if someone is creating work in a very intuitive way, it might seem shocking and weird, but and it might take time for other people to see it, but that's the X factor. That is it's genuine, right?
If you're collaborating, like the intuition kind of goes up because you're
you have to trust the other you have to be open. You're only doing part of it, like, and you have to almost throw caution to the wind and just go with if you're forced to go with the flow with somebody else.
Yeah, you're kind of delegating, and you're forced to trust other artists and stuff. And so I was thinking too, it's like movies have kind of the most collaboration, and the most can go wrong. There's plenty of bad ones, but then it is kind of the most magic when it all goes right. And then I'm like, comics, they have an X factor too. And I'm like, so what comics even have X factors? And I'm like, I feel like Sin City does, you know, some of like the absolute classics that are really good, but even like Sin City is like, arguably, it's not even like it's an amazing classic, but it has the X factor. And so I'm like, I don't even know what that is, but you know what a little bit of it is? It's like a little bit of a Frank Miller. Yeah, it's like an intuition type thing, but it's almost him kind of saying, fuck it, like him not caring as much too, because he's already hit the top of the mountain, so he can do whatever he wants.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of fuck it in there in all these examples.
Freedom, you know.
Yeah, creative freedom and maybe a little bit of, it's hard to quantify, but just genuine style, like, because that's what I think when I think Frank Miller's work, especially the stuff on his indie stuff like Sin City and 300 and stuff like that. It's like you think of it and you feel it, you know what I mean? There's a whole atmosphere to it, and there's a style, and I think that's what you have to find. And most famous work like that.
Yeah, I agree. And then secret ingredient, it kind of almost is the same thing as X Factor in some ways. And it's the same thing. Like, you don't know what it is. In that case too, if you know what it is, you don't want to say it because like you actually want to keep it secret. So it's like esoteric, which is that. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, because you were using the Sin City as an example of like, that's like a late career thing then, like, or the success was already there. Like, it's like, if you've already had so much success and done a lot of work, what is going to compel you to put the effort in to actually make something else? It's got to be a good idea. So there's almost an argument for someone later in their career coming up with something great because they have to find something great in order to care enough to put the work in if they've already had the success and they can sit pretty anyway.
Yeah, that experience too. It's funny. I just had a conversation with my girlfriend the other day. I'm like, what do you think my best story is going to be? And she's like, you probably haven't even thought of it yet.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, that is cool. Yeah, I think I agree.
Your best story is going to be Dino Tech Warriors.
Oh my god, I forgot about that. Jake really wants to make this.
I'm back 2 weeks in the past.
You are, because you skipped a week. Now that's a great way to think of creating, though. It's I think creatives stagnate if they think I've hit my peak. Well, that's you're resting on your laurels, right?
It's funny that I want to make another point, but it's like almost the opposite of that experienced or successful thing. If people are really down to the wire, have limited resources, and like they have one chance and all that, like the real low end, the first time, like that forces you to be efficient and really refine things down to the simplest, most like hard-hitting form of what you want to make, because you haven't got as much time, you haven't got as much resources, you've got to get it right, it's got to be good. Did you guys vibe with that? Or
in a way, yeah.
It's like
in a way,
the stress, the deadline, the pressure, you know.
it can even like open up that trusting flow state as well. If you're working with other people and you're like, I've got to get my work done, you get yours done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Real quick, Esoteric Skull says everything that rises must converge. You know, I've been reading Dave Cerebus, and
how you like it, Narwhal?
It's the first volume, which is apparently not the ultimate classic yet. That's like volume 2 of the phone books. But so I've read a lot of it because I'm almost done with the first phone book, and I'm like, yeah, it's definitely good enough that I'm not gonna stop. But I don't know, like maybe 1/5 of it is amazing and 4/5 is like just okay. But it's funny, the 1/5 that's amazing, that almost feels like X Factor, and it's kind of like the thing, like he's making a book a month, or he might have been, yeah, I think he's doing, or a week even, like no, a book a month. So he's doing one book a month, and he did that straight for like 300 issues and never stopped. And like that means he's writing the script, he's saying, all right, green light it, and then they go, you know. And so like, yeah, it's sometimes it meanders, but sometimes it's just like super charming and super fun, and the meandering is actually like part of what makes it cool in that case too. So who even knows anything? It's like yeah. So on this, what does this one say? Esoteric, opposite of exoteric, that which we talk about. Esoteric, that's which we do not talk about. Similarity to X Factor. Hard to speak aloud. It's hard to put it. Esoteric, secrets spoken aloud yet fly over the head of the listener. This is like some examples of what can be like esoteric, where like the real meaning is never put into words, and it never can be. But that was an interesting one, I thought, because like that's when it's kind of like some of this is like freaking like magic type stuff. Like what do they say it's like in like Satanism shit, but what do they say that you got to be hidden in plain sight? Do you know that concept? That's like an esoteric concept.
That's like they have to reveal all of their plans ahead of time and very publicly for it to have like any power.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's kind of like, that's kind of like the opposite of a jinx. The jinx is funny because it's tied with esoteric type stuff, because the whole point is if you say it aloud, you ruin it. So you can't say it aloud. You jinx it if you say it aloud. So there's things
that magic in plain sight thing, that's like Georgia Guidestones, that's like the World Economic Forum having everything up on their website, like all of it always ends up being like, oh, they were already saying this in public the whole time, and it's like how they can bring it into being.
But is it most people won't understand it? You need to either be at a certain level to understand, or have some other sort of information to put all the pieces together, even though all the information is there.
Yeah, I think so. I think a lot of it is like just coded. I think too of like just the alchemists and stuff. It's just like supposedly they would write whole books about how to do alchemy, and it's all bullshit. None of it tells you the actual real stuff.
Fake grimoires.
Yeah, but you can get like a codex or whatever and apply it to the book, and it'll tell you the real book. That's like supposedly the type of stuff. But because I guess it is like closely. It's funny because it's like the opposite of a lot of what we would think is like the goal as a creative person is to reach as wide an audience as possible, and the esoteric stuff is literally the opposite of that. And that I wrote opposite is a very keyword, comes up a lot with this stuff too, and it gets creepy a little bit. Like a lot of esoteric stuff pretty quickly gets like a little creepy. And I think it is kind of I'm not even sure exactly how it like you can utilize it in storytelling, other than it is quite inspirational in a lot of weird ways. But I don't know. What do you guys think? Were you gonna say something, Phil?
Were you, Phil?
No, you go, Jake.
It's almost, if it's so off the regular path, it just puts your mindset into a way where you're maybe going to discover something new, or at least something people don't usually expect. If you just thinking in the general realm of how people wouldn't usually think, but there's still a logic to it and you can follow it. Maybe ideas are going to bubble up that someone wouldn't think of if they weren't doing that. And then
that's pretty much exactly how I've sort of thought about it myself. Yeah.
Yeah, there's I don't know if this is like necessarily esoteric knowledge, but Jordan Peterson talks about art a lot, and he had this line where he said the job of artists is to teach people something like teach regular people or non-artists, like teach us how to see through new eyes, see the world in a new way. And so that can either be a hit or it's a risk, and it can either be a hit or it can only be a hit after you're dead, or you could just not hit at all. But that's the job of creatives, and I can see how that's very esoteric.
Yeah, I would equate that to storytelling as well. You know, like a painting should be like a story, and I would say that's a very similar job as storytellers.
Yeah, it is still like you're not dealing with words, and even that is like kind of interesting if you're just focused on visuals and stuff. To finish reading it, knowledge not meant to be passed down, not judged on its ability to stand the test of time. And this comes up later. So there's like knowledge that's meant to be not passed down, it's meant to be not shared. You know what a crazy example of that in storytelling, because it is like a concept that comes up and it is like related to alchemy. Then this is skipping ahead a little bit, but I wrote down one of the main kind of like alchemists, or like I feel like in like feeling or like in spirit is Merlin, and the King Arthur story is like has a lot of this kind of stuff. But one of the main kind of crazy ones is the idea that when he dies, you take his sword Excalibur and you throw it back from where you got it. You do not pass that back down to the next generation.
Yeah,
it's like this shit ends here. We're not passing it down.
That's interesting.
You can imagine something having power there of like you've got to use it to its full extent now, because is going away. You either go all the way now or that's it. It's almost like, say, in BLIZOCK, when they have their backs to the river purposely, and they've destroyed all the boats. They have their backs to the river, and it's like you're gonna fight as viciously as you ever could, because there's no going back.
Yes, BLIZOCK. I was the Merlin and the sword thing that I feel like that sounds like the sword is still there though. So this whole esoteric knowledge thing sounds almost like almost some like, I want to frame it as like some DMT shit where there's like some collective consciousness, but it's almost as if it's like there's something that we can tap into, but it can't be taught. And once you find it, you can't pass it on. It's just something that you have to individually find. But we all have access to it if we put in the effort. But it's not
that's cool. That's awesome. And it's a little creepy. That is creepy, I think, too. That idea, you're like, fuck, you're telling me you have to go alone to figure this shit out? How do you do it?
I kind of like that stuff. I like the idea that there's some secret collective consciousness, and like we're not in base reality, or we're just. I mean, I do think that's kind of true, but let's not get into that.
Well, no,
we'll save it for the second half if we come.
Yes,
there is knowledge that isn't teachable. And it can only be discovered firsthand yourself, and it can always be rediscovered by other people, but it can never, by its very nature, it's not pass onable. That's kind of interesting.
And I wrote down at the bottom one of the most kind of funny, like it's literally a codex for decoding stuff or encoding stuff, is opposites. And I was like, did the alchemists invent opposite day? It was like the first.
I saw that. The first alchemy was inventing opposite day.
What do you mean by opposites here, though?
Like opposites, like you could just for opposite day, you could literally just say the opposite of everything, and people will know what you mean if they're in on the joke. They know.
Oh, like we totally care about you, and we're gonna make society better, but they're actually doing the opposite of that.
Yeah, and that's some more of that in plain sight magic that gets creepy and stuff.
If we do talk about collective unconscious stuff, in the second half, I have a cool story for you guys. I wrote it down, so we can talk about it later.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Examples of esoteric type stuff: Merlin the Wizard, The Passing of Ages, Steven Spielberg's advice: just don't be boring. This is one I kind of wanted to talk about for just a second, because I did see him say that in an interview, and I laughed. I was like, well, fuck you, Steven Spielberg. Like, that's like, it's such bullshit advice. It's so annoying because it doesn't help anyone. But then I was like, maybe it's esoteric advice. Like, it's the stuff you can't speak about, like he's talking about, you know? It's like the thing you got to figure out on your own, like how to not be boring.
Yeah, it's like evoking that there's esoteric knowledge there, and it's in that statement.
Yeah,
but
and
if you look at it and you're like, it's bullshit. But like someone who can get that from it can get, can pull the sword from that stone, essentially.
Yeah. Some of what he's saying too is like, I think I take it a little bit as like, if he's saying just don't be boring, he's not saying like, well, you see, all you got to do is get the hero's journey and then blah 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 blah. You know what I mean? Like, he's saying just don't be boring.
That's true. No, because you have some stories that don't follow the hero's journey, and you would just wonder how the fuck does this work, but it does. That's like the basis of it.
I bet it still has interactivity.
Esoteric.
Yeah, and Star Wars popularized the hero's journey way more, after Star Wars. And so I'll watch movies before 1977, and you'll see them, and you're like, dude, this is interesting. It's totally not the hero's journey. A lot of Hitchcock's movies are like that. He'll do whole movies where it's just they're trying to conceal a murder, and will they or won't they get away with it? And it has nothing to do with like any kind of hero's journey, really.
Did those still have interactivity in them then? Like, which is literally just hero elements that look like they're going to collide.
Yeah,
and you're
excited. Yeah, I kind of think it's sometimes they have like more in weird ways. But yeah, so and then the last one I wrote is Deal with the Devil, which we'll talk more about that later. I don't even have full. I feel like I have some like weird thoughts about that one. I'm not even sure. We'll get to that. And that's like an esoteric thing. Some of these are like, they are like spells almost, like the Jinx spell, the Deal with the Devil spell, the opposite spell, the opposite of the opposite. I think I talk about that here. That's a spell.
All words are magic. Every sentence is a spell.
And this is another one. This is another one of the satanic things they always say, but they always say as above, so below, which is totally like an opposite, inverse kind of thing. Which is what's weird.
Thing? Wait, that's a satanic thing. Why?
Well, I'm a little confused by that myself, because it doesn't seem all that bad. Like, what's so bad about that one?
I thought that meant everything follows a hierarchical pattern.
I thought that was, I've heard that in reference to a lot of pagan practices where they follow astrology and the stars, and so that's why it's a lot of pagan practices, and even just non-Judeo-Christian religions.
Let me look it up.
They think the universe and the stars can influence what happens on Earth, so they say as above, so below. That's
Yeah, so maybe that. Well, I know it with Satanism they talk about the inverted world, and I don't know if that's tied to as above, so below, but it's like the same but inverted, which is like the opposite or whatever, and that's like hell, or what they want for Earth to be like.
Okay, so that's in a sense of hell and Earth, not as in astrology.
Satanism is where you declare yourself as God, and you are the center of your universe, right? Like it's there is no God. I am the God.
Oh, I know a lot of people like that. Oh boy.
Occultists.
Yeah, there's a lot of Satanism going around if you have it by that actual definition.
If you put it that way, then my God.
Wikipedia says, as above, so below is a popular modern paraphrase from the second verse of the Emerald Tablet, which is a Hermetic text. Arabic origin. Appears most widely divulged medieval Latin translation. And the text says, that which is above is like to what... Sorry. is like to that which is below, and that which is below is like to that which is above.
Phil, you just said nothing.
It's creepy though, creeping me out.
Oh, okay. The patenting.
Satanists
I'm
are
gonna
worse
read
than
this
commies.
for myself so I can actually understand it. Let me look.
One thing too, Irene mentioned it's like pagan go for that kind of stuff, and I was like, yeah. And there's a thing sometimes where, well, I don't know, like sometimes paganism will get called Satanism, and I'm like, I think it's a little different. Like Satanism is a very specific thing.
It's different. It's different. I know that it's confused sometimes, but yeah, paganism isn't always like. Ooh.
But I interviewed Arvid, who's an awesome writer in Comicsgate as well, about some medieval kind of history type stuff, doing a little bit of research, and he said that the Welsh in like slightly post-Roman medieval times, this is in King Arthur's era, the Romans were still kind of around at that point, and there's all this writings about the Welsh saying that they're barbarians and that they're like crazy and like insane and the shit they do, like child sacrifice and Roman cannibalism and stuff. And historians thought, oh, it's propaganda because it's the enemy. But then they dug up all this shit and it's all proof. They're like, oh shit, they were they're pagan and they were cannibalists and human sacrificers. And there's a movie about it called The Wicker Man, which is a famous horror movie where a guy goes in to investigate a disappearance on this cult in like Ireland or something, but it's like they're carrying on these Welsh pagan traditions.
Great
and at the end they burn him alive. Yeah, and it's like
good boobs in that movie too.
It also depends on what specific kind of paganism. If you're talking about, for example, like Carthage and Baal and that is a Semitic religion, that is technically paganism, and there was child sacrifice there. And then also you have Nordic pagan religions, but then also all the religions in India are technically pagan, and also Shintoism and Chinese religions are also pagan, but the practices are all different. But in certain senses, yeah, it's not all one blanket. Well, pagan religions are, one way, and it's not always satanic.
But I can
I'm into this stuff, so I'm like, I feel like there should be some nuance.
I could see how the phrase can be confused or misconstrued as Satanist or co-opted by people that are Satanists or say that they are, because it sounds like, as in heaven is the same thing as in hell, vice versa, where it's like, oh, they're doing that, well, we're doing this down here,
right here. The art on Wikipedia, the scholarly interpretations here says it's generally understood as a reference to the supposed effects of celestial mechanics upon terrestrial events.
Yeah, the astrology stuff.
Yeah, that's cool. Cool. So just a few others of just being a contrarian is like, I feel like that's sort of a good thing, basically. Like, I feel like that kind of helps writers. But I saw Peter Thiel talking about for investors and startups that people were asking him, like, what are the qualities that make a great company creator who can create a company that changes the world or whatever? And what he's like, one of the main things I see is they can't be the type of person that like kind of falls in with crowds. So they're usually somewhat on the autistic spectrum. and I was like, oh, that's kind of hilarious.
Oh, we're good then.
Yeah. And another funny thing is a lot of stuff once in a while. Yeah, I know. In this presentation, like that, I feel like that's something that the SJWs flaunt and are proud of too. Like they love their autism chic or whatever, And,
autism chic. That's the first time I ever heard that. That's great.
Yeah,
that's what really confuses me. I mean, I'm not one to generally be like, I don't believe you have a condition, but sometimes it's just so prevalent. I'm like, really? All of you are autistic and neurodivergent and all that shit?
I saw a dating app profile that says seeking autistic person.
You might just be socially inept. You certainly don't have the obsession and attention to detail. It really doesn't seem like you're there.
Yeah, I say they don't exist. There's no such thing as an autistic
That's
person.
true. That's true. It's only weird people.
Yeah.
I'm cured.
Yeah. But so in this like presentation of X Factor Esoteric, there's a lot of stuff that comes up with SJWs, and I'm like, they kind of like, you can tell it's what they want, but they don't pull it off. Like they're kind of doing it wrong, I guess, still. But it's funny, you'll hit on shit. Like there's stuff, speaking of like the esoteric stuff that's unspoken. One of the things that's unspoken is this idea of like history is written by the winners. So then you would wonder, well, what would the losers say if they could speak? What kind of esoteric knowledge is there? I'm like, SJWs are obsessed with that. They love it. But it doesn't really, they can't like milk it for what it's worth, as well as because they are getting some of the other things wrong, you know. But
yeah, I guess you're not going to get much cream from milking the losers.
Yeah, I guess
because they have no balls.
Yeah, something like that. Alchemy spell number 1. Is this dangerous? ? Opposite of the opposite. Have you guys ever heard of Loab? We might have talked about it or something.
No.
Like
Are we going to cast like a spell to
Sounds
summon
like an
some
exercise
creature by
routine.
the end of tonight?
I know part of this shit is like, I think it works if you believe in it, but I'd be like too scared to believe in it. Like I just don't want to.
This is all awesome. I love this stuff.
I think
love
the
that
deal
you're
with the
tiptoeing
devil
into
is like
this.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the opposite of the opposite. So the opposite, you can just imagine, like, so you have your opposite, and it's useful for, this is what we were talking about earlier, like just seeing things from a different point of view. Like I've thought, even applied to like Trump. I remember when I even first thought of this, is like, it could really help people break out of like your, a point of view. Like if you're like, fucking, I hate Trump. And you're like, but what if I love Trump?
Yeah.
Just say it out loud and think it for a second, see how it feels. And then you can always go back. That's the opposite of the opposite. But what's interesting is the opposite of the opposite is never the same. And that's what's creepy. You can never go back. Like there's an X factor there. Like it always changes at least a little bit, and sometimes a lot. So it's like kind of interesting, kind of scary a little bit, I think. But
because you've considered the opposite, so you can't think exactly the way you did before.
Well, yeah. And if you take something and transform it, and so if you're even like, what's the opposite of a bird? And you're like, a snake. And you're like, well, what's the opposite of a snake? And you're like, I don't know, what is the opposite of a snake? But it's not a fucking bird. Like it's like something else,
It's
but
like
opposite in what way?
Yeah. So that's what Loab is, which is creepy because you can do this stuff with AI. So this is what someone asked. It was the main AI. What's the coolest main regular AI? It's like,
well, there's Midjourney, which is
Midjourney. It was Midjourney. Sure. So they asked Midjourney because it can do negative prompts. So you can ask it, show me the opposite of this, or what is the opposite of this? And so he asked, what's the opposite of Brando? And it produced this image, which in it, that alone is like a little creepy, I think. It's like, that is weird. Why do you think that's the opposite of Brando?
It looks like German expressionism.
Yeah. And I just don't, you don't know exactly what data it's looking at to make this decision, but it has some things it's doing, and that's what it spits out. So then you ask it, okay, what is the opposite of this image? And you're like, okay, is it going to be Brando? It wasn't. It was this. This was the image.
Whoa! What?
Ozzy Osbourne, who's been unfrozen from Neanderthal times.
Yeah, and then you see it has the weird words up there. It has Loab for some reason. So people have been. And this woman pops up in multiple spots with the AI generator. It's like,
this is creepy as fuck. It's like the
what
AI.
What if that's the AI? Shit. Like that's what the AI thinks that's a physical representation image of.
No, this is a demon that we're summoning tonight. This is what's happening.
Yeah, it's like this is the opposite of the opposite. That's what's so crazy. It's like kind of a simple concept, but shit gets crazy.
With the AI thing, it's kind of like more likely that it's just like the midpoint convergence of the overall data set. Like if this is like of all the dice rolls of the data set, like this is the one you're probably going to get the most like in the middle, so it becomes noticeable.
Yeah, like it's self-perpetuating a little bit because then people start talking about it like, oh shit, what's this? And then she's out there even more.
It's like if they have the data set of like all these faces, like there's like one that's going to be the combination of all of them that comes up more commonly, and then the humans using that notice that as a pattern because we recognize patterns.
Yeah, but it's creepier than what you're saying because it's like there's kind of hints of it being like violent, and that there's more of that. Like if you look at it too, of other examples of where Loab appears, Loab always appears like with kind of lots of violence happening.
So how does this tie into X Factor?
This is the opposite of the opposite alchemical spell.
Alchemex.
Yeah.
So
okay, so now we're just kind of moving on.
X Factor? Okay, all right.
Yeah. So that's some esoteric shit, though. Like, that's esoteric. Like, the difference from Brando to this picture is esoteric.
I can kind of see where I mean, of course, it's AI, so it's just like a fever dream. But it probably made this as the opposite because the previous image was all hard lines and there wasn't anything organic. It was very graphical, but this is like very textural and painted. There's a human here, there's a building in the other one, so I can see some logic, but also it's just a fever dream. So I don't know, maybe it makes no sense. Maybe this is the demons that are coming for us.
No, what you said makes perfect sense, to be honest.
Thank you. I always do.
Jake is just too scared to actually believe it, so he's scrambling.
In the one esoteric presentation, I'm the one that's like, yeah, this, that, the other. I'm not getting freaked.
Yeah, you're the skeptic.
Yeah,
I thought you would be into this.
I am. I just want to see no.
Where's your moon cycle chart? You should be whipping that out. Be like,
get my moon app out.
Spells.
Okay, well, to be honest, we are within 5 days of a new moon, so it is.
Yeah.
He follows the moon.
As above, so below. Jake's a Satanist.
If you guys, I'm not a Satanist. If you guys want to set what the whole month is going to be like, behave now during the new moon in the way that you want to be behaving the heightened version of in the full moon.
Oh, I'm gonna be obnoxious as shit then.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be great.
Nice.
Looks like every full moon.
Yes.
Okay, this one says, what don't we speak? Dead men tell no tales. The history is written by the winners. If you speak broadly, that's like Spielberg saying, just don't be boring. If you speak in code, if it's opposite day, whatever, you can speak in code. If actions can speak instead of words, sticks and stones will break my bones. That might be a spell, even that one. But
Pig Latin, an extra one to put on the end there.
Yeah. Pig Latin is like a code that works. And there's one that I really like. I remember this has come up a few times when I've been talking about storytelling stuff, but the saying is, don't compare apples to oranges. And that's been very beneficial to me when I've been like trying to learn about storytelling, is like, do compare apples to oranges. And that is stuff that you can't really put in words. Like an example might be like for me, it's like stuff I like. So it's like, why do I like Pretty Woman more than RoboCop? And even though RoboCop's amazing, and I'm like, there's something really extra special about Pretty Woman. And it is part of it is that it has a 30-minute set piece to open the movie where it's like it's just two people talking, and it's like super interesting. And so like I'm like, okay. So you can take that away of like, you're just developing your own taste and trying to identify what you like and what you want to put in your stories. But
does RoboCop have a set piece?
The chat's turning on you, Narwhal.
Gay.
That's why it's esoteric, because if you say it out loud, people will call you gay.
There we go. Yeah.
So we cracked the code. If people in chat will call you gay, then you're gone.
I can attest to that.
Look inside yourself to ask why you like that more.
Well, now that you've thought that, you can never go back, Narwhal. You can never go back to just liking Pretty Women.
Noah says, is Narwhal a wine aunt? Yeah.
You guys got to rewatch that movie and get back to me. Nobody here. Everyone's just picturing their own version of it in their head.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
Merlin, the first alchemist, ? Return Excalibur to the lake. Information that's not supposed to be passed down. Dragons, I feel like, are like that too. Like dragon, it's not like they went extinct. It's like they just don't want to. The people that experience dragons don't want to share them with the future. They're like, this is not for you. This is for us.
What do you mean by that? This is not for you. This is for us.
That's like what like Merlin almost was like. Like he's like, dragons are not meant for this new age that's coming up.
Dragons were all like, the future's not good enough for us. We're leaving.
Yeah, I wonder. Dinosaurs might have been like that.
Well, yeah. There's, all these kinds of theories around dragons. Like, well, do they exist or not? But it's
Wait,
in mythology,
Sam.
dragons, huh? Oh no, it's this idea that maybe there was some kind of creature that, not like real dinosaurs, but because there have been so many megafauna, so many undiscovered creatures in the past, there could be something that we just haven't found any fossil record of yet. So I don't know. I'm open-minded to that. I don't think like actual dinosaurs coexist with humans, but in mythology, dragons represent the greatest challenge ever to face up to, at least in the Western tradition. It's different in the Asian tradition, and I think what Merlin said there, that could be interpreted in different ways. So is it dragons? Does it represent secret knowledge? Because in mythology, sometimes dragons also represent like high intelligence and secret knowledge, and this wealth is probably also a representation of that. So is that not meant for this age, or is it just the challenge isn't meant for this age? This age isn't ready for that challenge.
The metaphor of the dragon was meant for a previous age kind of thing.
Yeah.
They can also, they've also been in, dragons also represent like asteroid impacts and meteors coming into the atmosphere and the destruction that can come from like the long tails.
John Stonen says, best dragon book still Ursula K. Le Guin, with dragon speech being the root language of all magic. That sounds cool. And Rogues points out the Komodo dragon. They're still around. They're still here.
Well, those are big lizards. But, okay.
Yeah.
Lizards.
Yes. The Holy Grail is a little bit like that too. It's like things that seemingly were real at some point, but they're not real anymore. And that's why Merlin says to Morgana, "This is why we can't have nice things."
Yeah, that's exactly what he said.
It was the first time that sentence was ever uttered.
Home of the quotes over here.
Yeah, Gandalf. Only a hobbit can carry the ring. If he spoke this aloud, it would break the spell. That would be like an example of the jinx. Like I feel like this is like one of the kind of themes of Lord of the Rings. Yeah, the jinx. So X factors can also be jinxed. Yeah, X factors, you don't always want to say them out loud if you know what they are.
That's true, because there's this thing in storytelling where good dialogue is not on the nose, because the way people talk is we talk in a way that we don't say what we actually mean in common dialogue. We frame what we mean in a way that we think will get us what we want, right? And good dialogue has those layers to it. But if you just have every character saying what they actually are feeling in like a very, especially in the same voice with no different inflections between characters, that's bad dialogue and that's not engaging. So I think with Gandalf not actually saying, well, only a hobbit can carry the ring, or and all these other things, that would be breaking a spell. Just like in writing good dialogue, you break the spell if you're too on the nose.
Yeah, that's definitely a good way to look at it. And you're like setting up spells and you're trying to not break them. Like Jake will sometimes say spinning plates. You're kind of spinning plates, and then
making sure people enjoy when they finally fall on the ground.
Christus says Gollum was a hobbit. Yeah, but the fact that Gollum lasted that long, and it's a testament to the difference between hobbits and other races in Tolkien.
Gollum was the real hero.
And well, that's another decision. The fact, just because only a hobbit can carry the ring doesn't mean every hobbit is capable of carrying the ring.
Yeah, that the Frodo and Bilbo could have been like Gollum easily, and they almost were.
They could have. And without the Fellowship, there's hinted, especially without Sam, Frodo could have become that.
Mm-hmm.
If it wasn't for Gollum, it wouldn't have gone in the volcano. It's all thanks to Gollum.
That's kind of like another one.
Yes.
Yeah, like without Sam, Frodo would have become a Gollum. It's almost like you just don't say it out loud, but it's there. So it is like a little bit.
But Gollum was also there to remind Frodo of this is what you could become if you fall. So that was like, honestly, like Gollum was just a brilliant storytelling device, and the whole reason that you guys got me talking about Lord of the Rings. So the whole reason Gollum was there and he had to be the one to actually destroy the ring was because if the ring was so powerful, Frodo couldn't just suddenly become the most willful person in the whole universe and overcome the ring at the last second. It had to be sort of his mercy is what saved everyone in the end. The fact that he didn't kill Gollum and they spared him. You have to think of it that way. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Like mercy won the game. That's how.
You know what's funny about that too? All that stuff is not exactly X Factor. It's just really good because that's all planned and that's all like meant to be cool. It's all that's still like the pieces that you add up. And there, I think Lord of the Rings does have an X Factor, but again, I don't know exactly what it is particular.
It's the ends.
Yeah, I think it's the ends. I think the X Factor is just that it's so genuine because Tolkien was writing from having so many years of real world experience, going to war, understanding deep human connection. He was writing from a genuine place. And whatever the X Factor is, he was able to draw from it after having those experiences, right? And he was writing about the men he knew on the battlefield. Those are the relationships he put into Lord of the Rings.
He was intuitively coalescing a shit ton of factors. Do you know what I mean? Like almost collaborating with all like previous folklore
and his own experiences. Like your experiences become your collaborators as well. That's what, you know, with big advice is write what you know. And it comes with, you know, a lot of those stories and the great X Factor stories have, you know, they're speaking truth and they're very genuine, but you have to have the experience, and that is you being prepared to tell that story. Another great quote from Louis Pasteur is chance favors the prepared mind. So you have this chance to make your story have an X factor. There's a possibility, it's always there, but you need to be prepared for that story. So the chance is better. You have a greater chance when you're more prepared.
I like that.
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it. And I mean, someone in chat is questioning, well, was Lord of the Rings planned? Because Tolkien rewrote it many times. I think that ties in perfectly with what Phil said. You can plan something, but chance favors the prepared. You can prepare, but if you don't prepare, you don't try to gather all those life experiences and create something genuine, then you never have a chance of the X Factor finding you, right? And it's not guaranteed it'll find you, but you have to try and put out a plan. Because I think all of us have that experience of you set out to write a story, and sometimes things just, you have a plan, but things will just click, and you don't plan for everything. Like we plan for a lot, but not everything. And those, I think the most important moments just happen and we don't know where it comes from.
Yeah, that's a good point. Definitely Lord of the Rings has that. Yeah, one X Factor, it could almost be like, yeah, it's that it clicks so well. Everything clicks into place. And it like works symbolically from a bird's eye view in a crazy level, and then it also works on a lower level. Like it's cool that the map of the story is like symbolic and interesting too, but then it's also just like a world where they have wars and stuff.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
how did you figure all that out?
Well,
rewriting a lot.
It is rewriting a lot, and also he spends so much time on it, right? This is something that he just shat out in like a couple of years. He wrote The Hobbit, and then he spent all these years building all this mythology and the languages, but then on this living world, he added characters, really good characters with a believable journey that fit into the mythology he already created. So what he created, and he set out to create mythology. It wasn't just a novel or just a story, because he was a mythologist and he wanted to make something for the British Isles to replace mythology that were lost in the Norman invasions. And I think that's what he did.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't even know that. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we didn't have like a mythology or a history, because for like a part of our history was just like an oral tradition of the Druids. So we didn't really have a written history even around the time of the Romans being here.
Mm-hmm.
So he made some shit up.
Yeah. So this slide is like, yeah, if collaboration is just one person, like what are some ways to frame collaboration to eke out an X factor? And one is celestial bodies, like as above, so below. That's like a lot of it is like removing your own ego. Like the less of your own ego. This is another thing SJWs get wrong, but like I feel like they have a lot of their ego in their stories, to the point where they do self-inserts and stuff like that they're talking about that. But if you could hypothetically remove your ego completely, like even Lord of the Rings, J.R.R. Tolkien, like his goal is to make mythology. That means it has nothing to do with him. He's like serving a higher power. He's trying to replace something that came before too, that existed before. So yeah, like that is one way, like collaborating with other artists, obviously, and that's an amazing, fun way. And I think artists can be celestial bodies. You can almost think of it that way. That's like how like Star Wars was like its own like eclipse of the planets aligning, and that's how John Williams happened to be there at the same time that George Lucas was there, at the same time the people who started ILM were there, at the same time the guy who did the voice for Darth Vader was there. Like all that stuff aligned is like crazy.
I like what. Sorry.
I don't know. Well, go ahead.
No, I like what you were saying about, say, like admitting, like letting yourself entertain the idea that magic is real or the moon cycle actually has like an effect on life. It is killing your ego to let yourself even entertain that, because there's a point where you're like, that's all bullshit. Like everyone knows it's bullshit. Like it's obviously bullshit. If I even entertain that, then I look like a fucking idiot. I looks like I have no respect, no dignity. So
yeah.
But so here's the thing: if you manage to let go of that, you put yourself into the space where you probably can discover that esoteric knowledge, which is the untraveled paths. You put yourself into a new path where new things can be discovered, because you're like, it's a full moon, the hospitals are full tonight, and you're letting yourself. It's kind of like say with Comicsgate and even the Trump stuff, letting yourself go, oh, he's probably not a villain, or like with CG, oh, they're probably not all evil bastards. Do you know what I mean? Like, lets you go on a different track where you do end up discovering a whole other kind of like area of knowledge that to a different group of people is probably extremely esoteric. The esoteric of crowdfunding.
Right, we're in the esoteric.
That elephant brain. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that ties into not having, like, letting go of your ego and not having to always be right and not having to believe in something, which I get is really hard. But what if you don't have to believe in anything? What if you can just explore and not settle on this is right forever?
Yeah, the second you believe in anything, even what might be like pretty legit thing to believe in, which is like God or whatever, that kind of plays into ego a little bit. But that's a little weird, because God, part of what they're trying to do with that is to help you get over your own ego, which obviously doesn't work for some people, because some people can use it as an excuse. It's almost a double negative here, because people can use it as an excuse. They say God is so great, therefore I can actually have a huge ego because I'll be infinitesimally small compared to him no matter what, so I might as well keep a big ego.
So maybe people who tap into
that
it
is some weird backwards fucking logic.
Oh yeah, it is. But it's like the people who tap into the messages of religions correctly. If there is a correct way to understand those messages, well, they are tapping into the esoterica of that message, right? And of course, there are people that misuse it as well, even though it's the same exact words.
Yeah. Like Spielberg's "Don't Be Boring." Like I could see that carved into stone and carried down off like a tablet or whatever.
Don't be boring.
Yeah.
Under.
It is an interesting idea of saying don't believe anything, because it's like you're not holding as any one thing as specifically true. You can hold several different truths in like a superposition and kind of juggle them all and find like new patterns within them. There could be new esoteric truths. It's like there's power in even letting yourself explore something that you don't even believe. I remember once I was hanging out with this guy who was super fucking negative all the time, and people were always saying, "You're such a downer. Why are you being so negative all the time?" And I'm like, and he would never admit that he was. He's like, "I'm not. I'm just being realistic." And I said to him, "Okay, wait. How about just for a second, you don't even believe it. Just let yourself say the words, I guess I'm a bit negative sometimes." Like, can you let yourself say the words? He was so dug in on his mindset, his truth, he couldn't even let himself say the words, even if we all agreed he didn't mean it. like as just a hypothetical experiment. He couldn't fucking say them. He couldn't let them come out of his mouth because like he almost perceived the power that would have to change his mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
letting himself.
That's crazy. That's a testament to that words are spells, like straight up. And he didn't want to jinx himself out of his own negativity by saying it out loud, kind of thing.
Yep. He saw it as more valuable to not cross that line. Somehow. Yeah,
because it's you have to take it a certain amount of seriousness for like to explore this stuff. And I was thinking like even like a Christian knight, like the most pious badass Christian knight, if their job is to like fight evil, the first thing you do is you stare into the abyss, and that's like you can't even fight Satan unless you like deal with that shit and understand it and look at it, and you have to get in the mindset and everything. So it is like, okay, I think but it is like a little scary kind of, but
it's kind of the point.
Well, it kind of ties into how angels, their true forms are these like horrific, scary things. Well, it's not because like good things are always angelic in the way that art, Renaissance art portrays them. It's because they fight demons, so they're also scary. So it's not, there's more than what's in the surface, right?
Well, it's like demons are fallen angels in a way. So it's like they almost would look very similar.
Yeah, the Wendigo has got me all into that kind of stuff. It's actually really cool. There's like power levels to angels and demons. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Talking about the angel power level thing, it's total sidetrack. I do like how last week Bancroft was like, I hate Wendigoon.
He's just
why
jealous.
does he hate? Why does he hate Wendigo? Oh, because he was like Wendigo started at the same time as him. Well, yeah, don't be jealous. Wendigo is cool as shit, dude.
Yeah. He's just trying to be his own version of a hater, and it's nice. It's okay for him.
It's a love-hate relationship. He aspires to have that many subscribers.
He's trying to find the esoteric knowledge to be found in allowing yourself to say, I hate Wendigo. There you go.
He wants to be just a little bit like Camel Moon in that way. He's got to have his like or whatever.
The chaos energy.
So for collaboration, a last one is the characters within the story are collaborating in a sense, and you can almost treat that as like, and that's if you've removed your ego and you're dealing with them as characters. There's like X factors that'll come out of that, I think, is one thing. And then for 2 is more the esoteric stuff, but it's like the waxing, the waning, the angle of the sun, the degree of the orbit. But that's thinking is people and timing. It's like just for me, it's like timing, and planets are people. And like, what is like the eclipse? What is like the planetary alignment? When you feel that moment, you feel the electricity in the air, you feel the electricity in the bottle, all that stuff. And if you can create that in a story, that's pretty cool too. I feel like Lord of the Rings actually does that also. It does have that feeling to it.
Yep, definitely. It's a lot of effort, but also at the right time in the right era and everything.
Yeah, I think I have 5 panels or so left. So
nice.
But then the last one is one of the last ones is deal with the devil, and this is potentially one we could talk a little bit about. So I don't even know what I wrote, but one thing I was thinking is deal with the devil. It's real if you believe in it. It's only offered to people who are actually already good. I don't think it's actually a thing where you were bad, but then you sell your soul and then you're good all of a sudden. It's weird. Like they actually only like Taylor Swift might have gotten it. Bob Dylan did get the deal with the devil. I kind of want to make an actual YouTube video about this because Bob Dylan actually talks about it. And you're like, is he just being poetic or whatever? And you're like, well, this is part of the deal with the devil is like, it doesn't work unless you believe it. But the second you believe it, I feel like it like kind of does work. And that's kind of part of the creepiness. Cause it's like, again, like you don't want to even say the words. It's in a story too. It's in like a lot of media, the Faustian deal and the kid at the railroad tracks and stuff like that. But there's kind of a version of it in the movie, Amadeus, where it's Amadeus versus. Do you remember what's the name of the guy who's really jealous of Amadeus?
The other guy.
Yeah. Anyway, chat will know, but that guy. Yeah, that guy. He basically makes a deal with the devil, but he thinks he's praying to God, and God sort of seemingly grants his wish, but then he forsakes God. And then he kind of gets more of what he wants. He kind of gets everything he wants in the whole movie, but then in the end, he loses everything because Amadeus's art is the stuff that stood the test of time. But another crazy,
I got it, Salieri.
Yeah, Salieri. So he's kind of an example, I think, of a deal with the devil. But what's interesting too is like you could almost, like, I almost wonder if Amadeus was partaking of a deal with the devil, but I kind of think he maybe wasn't. But that's another, like, I don't even know. He might have been. It's like kind of confusing. It does get like a little more nuanced about the shit. But Kobe Bryant is another one, and some of it's like a little creepy because he died in a helicopter accident. But he like talked kind of openly. Some of his quotes are like, they say, "What does it take to be the best?" And I love Kobe, by the way. And even I don't even care. Like, I don't think, and a lot of this, it's not like they freaking are sneaking away and worshiping Satan. It's just like this is like the deal with the devil kind of being in the air or whatever. And what the word we're putting to it, because it's esoteric, because you kind of can't put words to it in some ways. But he says, they say, what does it take to be the best? And he goes, sacrifice. And they're like, oh, you mean like a lot of time, practice and everything? And he's like, friends, family, other things you enjoy. He's like saying, no, like give up everything, get super tunnel vision, then you can like achieve this success. But he's sacrificing a lot. Like that's like a deal with the devil.
Yeah.
And
you know that,
when
you were saying before about like just the idea of having the deal in play can make it happen, there is a theory that like say like your pineal gland or like your third eye aspect to your brain, like your brain has the innate ability to manipulate actual like metaphysics on like the quantum level, and that your belief can engage that part of the brain. It's kind of like a less gay version of The Secret or whatever, where it's like if you believe it can if you truly believe it, it can become. But yeah, there's a theory that like your brain does have an innate ability to manipulate metaphysics.
Oh my god, that's wild. I just randomly met this guy at a restaurant the other day who started talking to me about how he writes books about meditation and pineal gland. It was just yesterday. That was creepy deja vu.
He's been milking his pineal glands.
Yeah, if he says talking about milk and glands, different things there, Irene.
I should whip out the whole milk in public.
Oh, I'm a professional masseuse too. I'll give you a free massage.
I have met those, so you know.
And also, I'm an erotic photographer.
Oh God, yeah! Don't fall for that.
An entrepreneur.
Not again. I'm not going to fall for that again.
Yeah, never get. It's just art photos. But I don't know how true all that stuff is. Where, how like the pineal gland is supposed to be our access or our like a window to the quantum world or to a higher consciousness, and how in the modern world, and now that we're removed from nature and the more modern we have become, even though our physical lives are more comfortable, we have calcified our ability to connect with nature and with that altered consciousness, or probably different dimensions that we naturally are able to be in touch with. That's what stuff like DMT does, is break down that barrier and help you see that world.
Or maybe there are designs to our simulated reality that are purposefully in place in order to calcify that gland so that you can no longer have access to that plane of existence, so that the people that do have it have a greater effect because there's less pushback from the plebeians in their little mind caves.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I don't know. I watched the beginning of a cartoon. I forget what it's called. It's like Carl Mouse and the Devil is what it's called, or something like that. And it's from 1977. And it's a 23-minute cartoon, and it's about a mouse who makes a deal with the devil to become a famous musician. And the devil appears, and it's a duo act, like husband and wife mouse kind of thing. And then the wife, he goes to sell his guitar to get them some money. And while he's gone, she makes a deal with the devil to be a big star, and she gets kind of whisked away, and then he tries to rescue her. And then I didn't finish it. But I saw the deal with the devil part, and the devil, the first thing he said, he's like, "There's only one thing that I need from you for this to work, and that is for you to want this more than anything else." And he's like, "Is that true?" And then she says, "Yes." And he's like, "Okay, it's on." And I'm like, dude, that comes up in real life so often. And there's way, it's like kind of hard if you go by this Kobe Bryant model / if you got to want it more than anything else, and you got to, really go for it with tunnel vision and work your hardest to achieve it. If that's the deal with the devil, then like it's kind of hard to not achieve success without that. And I don't know if anyone, it's like all the highest artists all made the deal with the devil.
Very often in my life, I kind of like come to that question of like, do you want it enough to make the metaphorical deal with the devil? Like, you sacrifice everything. Do you want it enough? And time again, the answer is nah.
Yeah.
It's hard if you really think about it, because the things that you have to sacrifice. Just think about having a normal life in general. All the crazy artists whose relationships fell apart, and all the like Nikola Tesla. Think of his absolute genius and how he died alone and penniless because he was just laser focused on his creations, and he never had a family, didn't have friends in the end, and that was his sacrifice.
It's kind of like a mid-20s thing to do. I think as soon as you get over 30, you start being like, wait a minute.
It gets hard. Right, because you start, once you hit 30, you definitely start thinking, well, I want to be comfortable the rest of my life. But can you hold on to that, like that fire when you're 22, where I'll throw everything away for my passion? And some people can, but it's like there are huge rewards, I believe, if you do go down that path and take that deal, so to say. But it's also pretty painful, really. Because like by the time you're 30, you realize what those sacrifices mean.
Yeah. So like hypothetically, if you did answer yes, that you want it more than anything else, because maybe even that's bad alone, but you could still say no to the deal with the devil, and then you're still not sacrificing everything for it. And then maybe I don't know what that means, if it just takes longer, or you maybe don't quite get there in your life, but you do like hit some shit that you kind of like or whatever. Chiquita Media says, oh, this is a good meta one. For $6.66, no strings attached.
To me, it's cicada.
Oh, I like your icon. It's so cute. Cicada.
Yeah. That's kind of like the deal with the devil. Hey, no strings attached. Wink, wink.
Wink.
I wrote a story with that as a subtitle.
So what did Stephen King say about making a deal with the devil? I don't know about that.
He said the devil was cocaine and alcohol, and now that I don't use it, all my stories are pedantic.
Oh, okay.
What did he use that word? Did he call his own stories pedantic?
Wait, so the devil is just cocaine. I figured it out.
Oh, good old cocaine.
I don't actually think it's necessary to make that kind of like complete sacrifice. There's definitely are sacrifices. Even Tolkien made sacrifices. Like, he spent so much time with his work, he didn't see his family a lot, honestly. But it is possible to create something without just ending up like Tesla and just like throwing everything away or just being strung out on coke all the time. But there's levels to it. I don't know. It depends.
You don't achieve that. Maybe I don't know if you achieve that real true greatness, that like status of peak, unless you do the full sacrifice, like the mangaka busting out like whole chapters every day and just slaving over his desk. You know what I mean? Oh
yeah, mangaka are a really good example. A lot of them have zero life because it takes just complete and utter dedication. And I wonder if in Tolkien's example, part of his sacrifice was going to war. And the kind of, I'm absolutely sure there was psychological scars from that, but that's what he paid up front. And that's kind of a price as well. And for a lot of artists, sort of like a lot of artists have all kinds of weird shit that plagues them, right? That's part of their sacrifice.
Usually pretty weird childhoods.
Yes.
Yeah. And the other thing kind of about this is, if you look at Hollywood, even in an era where Hollywood was like kind of legit, like Spielberg in the 80s or whatever, like Hollywood making some really good movies, they would have all had tunnel vision, and they would have all wanted it more than anything else when they were young. You know, they were all checking these boxes like almost 100%. And there's ways where that kind of, you can see the repercussions of that, of like the negativity of Hollywood, even in the 80s. There's people dying, you know, and the stuff that you could almost look like sacrificial rituals and shit. Like the girl who was in Poltergeist, she died on the set of freaking Back to the Future 2, I think, something like that.
Wait, what?
And then one of the actors in that, he wrote a huge weird expose on Spielberg like 15 years later that's like all coded and weird. But it's like a shit show, basically. It's like a shit show of like kind of bad people. But I was thinking one thing too is they're picking, if they wanted to place like a honey, I don't know if the honeypot's the right word, but the type of thing like, to get in the club, you have to give us blackmail, submit it. And it's like the people are willingly submitting their own blackmail. Like that may or may not be happening in politics, may or may not be happening in Hollywood. But what's interesting is you would think like, oh, so then people are making the deal with the devil. Like, because allegedly Spielberg's like kind of made a deal like this or whatever, but he's literally like the best filmmaker of all time. That's also what's weird about it. Cause like they kind of go hand in hand. Like the talent goes with the deal with the devil. The deal with the devil does not go to people who are not good at what they do.
Maybe there are people who have made the deal with the devil and it just still didn't work out for them. You just never hear about them. And maybe the people who are willing to go on that like other path are the ones that would end up being great as well. But there could be a lot of failures. You're only seeing the successes, right?
Well, that's the whole.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's the whole Faustian, vibe of it, right? It's not only like, oh, this is the deal with the devil. It's that the devil is trying to corrupt someone that's good. Usually someone, traditionally that's very close to God, and to hurt God, right? Because the idea is, oh, the devil is now turning someone that is really close to God against him to the other side. And so that's why it's like, oh, this person's so good at what they do. They're so well-behaved person. They're idled by millions of people. They probably.
I'm so glad you said that. That kind of makes it all fall into place for me. I feel like I'm starting to understand it a little bit more, because I still was confused by it a little bit. I'm like, wait, is it good? Am I supposed to sign up for it?
I love that you can contemplate that. Like, that's an esoteric thought in of itself, right? To let yourself consider, wait a minute, maybe I should be a Satanist or something like that.
Yeah. The thing that's not said is, if we're talking about, the deal with God and sort of framing it in a religious sense, but also this got me thinking of Berserk. What the apostles do is essentially make a deal with a devil, in a sense, the God hand, and using Behelits. And what they do is they want ultimate power. And they pay the price. They make a sacrifice. They sacrifice the most important person to them, and in exchange, they become these powerful monster beings. And usually, they're granted with all kinds of like psychological power over people, and they get their wish. But not only do they have to sacrifice the thing they love the most, which is part of your soul, like part of your soul dies if you have to like kill the person you love the most, and also after they die, their souls essentially are doomed forever. Like it is canonical in the story that their souls, everybody who sacrificed to be Behelits, and also all the apostles, they become like this giant blob of suffering souls in hell, basically. So that's the price, but they sacrifice all that just to have power in this life. So is that what people mean when they're saying that? Is it just sacrifice as in, oh, I'm going to throw everything away, not have any friends, no life, no family, just to make my art? Or is it, I make a deal with a devil in some kind of supernatural sense, so I sacrifice my next life to have power and glory now?
Yeah, that's a great point too. That also definitely basically explains it almost. It's like it is like, it's this world, you're putting more importance on this world than on the next world or whatever.
Imagine if like in a story you had reincarnation as a nature thing, but then you also had like the devil, and if he wins you over in your life, like you make the deal and you succeed, you take that opportunity in this life, he gets to control you as a conduit in your next life. Like he takes over your next one, and then you become like an operative. That would be interesting.
That'd be cool. Put it right into the plot of the Jet Tyrannosaur.
That would actually be a really fucking good part of to take that and then
it'd be
like,
funny.
The demon shit in it.
Oh my god. It actually would be kind of a funny comic if it's Jake. It's kind of like you, but you're a Tyrannosaurus Rex. You're smoking a cigar, flying a jet, and you're talking to like a little weasel who's really scared. And you're like, yeah, reincarnation's real. But then if the devil finds out, you got to do what he does for the rest of his life. He knows what to do with you.
He did like a whole Charlie Day thing there when you cigar.
This Pterosaurus Rex thing. This book is gonna be lit.
Oh my god, Pterosaurus? A Pterosaurus Rex?
Pterosaurus Rex or what the fuck ever.
Yeah, like, we gotta put like reincarnation and the devil trying to win your soul into Dino Tech warriors.
I do have reincarnation and fiendish.
You know what might be a esoteric X factor is cigars. So, like Columbo smokes them, Logan Wolverine smokes them, and then Jake in his jet as a Tyrannosaurus Rex smokes them.
I'm not cool enough to drive a jet.
So for us to succeed, we need to start smoking cigars. That's what you're saying.
Maybe, or our characters do at least. Let's make a pact right now that we'll all make a character in our story smoke a cigar.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
I'll go in on that.
Yeah, I can do that. I have someone smoking a pipe.
Nice.
Yeah, people smoking all the time.
I'm gonna have Columbo walk through my story.
It was so lame when I worked at Marvel. They were like, nobody can smoke a pipe, or no, but not a pipe. Nobody can smoke cigarettes and stuff. I'm like, okay, but what about Wolverine? But of course, I didn't say that, even though I should have.
I purposely put smoking in Hollow Fist. Like literally, there's like evil version of the Professor, and he has like a custom animation of just fucking smoking. Like, okay, I'm making evil version, and he's smoking.
Yeah, this is funny. Michael Deshea. Sometimes a cigar is just a cigar. Freud. That no, I feel never. Yeah, I'm like, cigars are always a cigar, except for one time, and it was Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky.
Bancroft says Jake will have someone smoking Paul.
What?
Uh-oh.
Speaking of sacrifice, 12 hours working a day, that guy. If anyone's making freaking sacrifices, it's Bancroft, but he still
I don't know how he does it.
He still has the happy family. Yeah, so I don't know how that's...
Yeah, Bancroft is an example of someone who hasn't done a deal with the devil.
Wait, what that means is Mel is doing all the work, so that's how he's able to work.
He's done a deal with Mel. He didn't make a deal with the devil, he did a deal with Mel.
He did, yeah, poor Mel.
He did a deal with the camel.
Oh, yeah. Is that the Tapas book?
Phil, do the angle. Do the angle that's going to sell the book. Guys, if you haven't realized look at this. Look, doesn't that just sell it? You just realize it's like a...
It's a mini book. It's so little.
It's a digest manga volume. Now you get it.
And cigars. There's cigars, guys.
I think I have. Hold on. I have like a copy of.
Why would you put all that money into buying a nice cigar and then you don't bother taking advantage of the nicotine by inhaling?
Look how small Japanese copies of My Hero Academia are. This is how small manga in Japan is printed. This is my hand.
Buns.
And my hand is not very big, like teeny tiny.
Little girl hands.
That makes your hand look huge, though, when you do that.
I know, but it's not. I've got girl hands. But yeah, this is so small, and this is probably
your hand's 7 inches. Huge.
Oh, I've got the man hands.
Guys, if you're out
there, I can't get over
how
big your hands are. No, just kidding.
Always find a woman with small hands. It'll make it look bigger.
Yes. This is super cool.
Let's keep talking about hand size for the rest of the stream. Who else wants to go?
When I broke my arm and had a plaster cast on, my teacher at the time made fun of me for having chubby little fingers, and I was like, "What the fuck?" But I do.
Oh, that was a formative moment, dude. You do have chubby fingers.
Chubby hands.
This is because the Japanese are small, so their comics are small.
Tiny bug people.
The magazines, the Shonen Jump magazines and all that stuff, they're huge. Those are like this yay big. But the tankobon are small. Huge.
Cool. Well, I got another slide. What's it called? Slide?
Yeah. I like how you went for the chalkboard aesthetic.
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. Do you guys know what this drawing is? Can you tell?
A
Princess
wolf and a
Mononoke?
guy tapping
Yeah.
the wolf.
It's
Oh.
either Princess Mononoke or it's Sonic with like, I don't know.
It's coming out of a
Yeah.
plant. It's a plant
It's-
person.
It's
Something
Princess
like
Mononoke.
Okay, I'm glad I could tell on first. I'm so proud of myself. Good job, me.
Nice. You win Pictionary.
did.
Guessed it. And already drawn in the past. New version of Pictionary.
Yeah.
What is hidden? Where do you want to look? Do you want to stare into the abyss? Because that's like kind of scary. Look in a way that it doesn't fly over your head. You know, looking at people are hiding things in plain sight. You want to see what they're looking at. To see with eyes unclouded. That's the Princess Mononoke.
Oh,
quote.
that's such a good line, though. That's one of those lines that line encompasses the whole movie, right? Though,
Yeah.
is that I think is that line in the context of the movie seeing something that's hidden? Because when Ashitaka says that, he is approaching this as he's coming to this conflict between Irontown and the forest, and he wants to see with eyes unclouded by hate is what he means, because he's never taking sides and he walks that middle ground very firmly, and everybody is pissed at him, but they love him at the same time.
He's a fence. He's a damn dirty fence sitter.
But no, but he's not a fence sitter as in, oh, let's just all get along. Kind of, he's like, everybody all get along, but also he's like,
Disproved home point halfway through making it.
no, shut up! Shut up! Let me finish my point. He's not as in, he's not a fence sitter as in, well, you know, let's just like kind of just sit on the fence and let me not do anything about it. He actively takes part and gets in the way of them trying to kill each other, because he is taking this point of he is taking a third position, not I'm in the middle.
He's defending that fence. He's aggressively fence sitting.
Okay, I'm just not gonna finish my point. It's fine.
Oh, come on.
I think we got it.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
What's the lady
name? I was saying that he it's like there's a third point. There's a way you can solve this issue without, you know.
There's a third fence.
Without I give up. I give up. Okay.
I don't think anyone's seen this movie. Let's
Keep
get a poll. Let's get a poll.
Keep going, Irene. Phil has to now interrupt you. I didn't know. Didn't know. Keep going.
Can we get a poll in the chat to see how many people have seen Princess Musashi?
He's a goddamn beanie wearing fence sitter.
This is a tradition of the creative block to just make me angry. Oh, cool. It's okay.
It's not hard.
Shut up. Shut up. You know I like Princess Mononoke.
I don't. I actually didn't.
Yeah.
It's my favorite movie.
Are you going to see that new one that has like every actor that's ever been in Hollywood voicing the dub?
Yeah. The Boy in the Heron.
No, I haven't. I have to go see it this weekend because I'm supposed to do a stream with someone on it. How have you guys not seen Princess Mononoke? What uncultured?
Not really a weeb.
America.
Too busy watching Thomas the Tank Engine and Simpsons.
That's right. Yeah.
Princess Mononoke definitely has an X factor going.
Yeah. Oh, so you live in America, so you don't watch good media from anywhere else.
Yeah. What do you think? I would say Sir Topham Hatt is not a fence sitter.
No, he just sits on his. He's an ass sitter. Sits on his ass all day.
He's an ass sitter. He keeps the railways clear and rolling.
And I think you'll find his correct name is the Fat Controller, Phil, with your woke PC Sir Topham Hatt cope.
Yeah, but yeah, that line is awesome, and it is basically the point of the movie. And Irene, do you remember the woman? I can't remember her name, like Lady Iboshi. Yeah, like he tells her that, like he's like, my purpose is to see with eyes unclouded, and she's like, eyes unclouded. Ah, ha, 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 ha.
Yeah, she's essentially like, good luck, because she doesn't believe anyone can do that, right? He's like,
yeah, which is like a really good point.
Right.
Yeah, because it's freaking. It does seem like it's basically impossible.
Well, it's sort of like this idea. Well, it's sort of like, well, either you have to take a side, and if you don't take a side, you must be a coward. But he clearly isn't, and he's just there to find the origin of this curse that he's been cursed with, because the origin of that curse, right, from that infected pig, it was hatred. It's like hatred turns creatures in this world into these demons. So he's trying to find the origin and solve it. So he sees that both sides hate each other, and that's the origin of this demonic energy, so to say. And he's trying to solve it, but they're like, oh no, you just don't understand. You need to take a sign. If you don't, you need to get out. But he just refuses to get out, and he keeps on getting in the way because he's like, you need to stop hating each other. And I mean, it's brilliant. It's Miyazaki's best movie, in my opinion.
He said, check out this beat while the DJ revolve it.
Yeah. By the way, quick shout out.
Watch this movie and be cultured.
Quick shout out for Phil and Rini for saving my soul by fully defining deal with the devil, so that I would then avoid it.
Anytime.
You're welcome.
Because I almost fell down that trap, but you guys pulled me back at the last.
You almost made the deal.
We got you.
Yeah.
X logo.
I just realized that.
X. Yeah, that's true.
X factor, unquantified, unspoken, unplanned for, unspoken, celestial bodies, alchemical, esoteric. I think this might have been. This is like wrapping up, I think. But then what did I say?
So,
I still got more.
Alternate paths and pure intuition.
You have to figure it out on your own at the end of the presentation.
It's alternate paths and pure intuition.
Because I was gonna wrap it up and I immediately thought of something. So is stories with big X factor, are they esoteric in ways? Lord of the Rings. We've talked a lot about these, so we'll keep going. But this is one I wrote down. Twilight. Twilight has an X factor, and that's one actually because the actual pieces aren't even that great, yet the sum is greater than the parts. Like, it does have an X factor. But it's funny because, like, Lord of the Rings is just so perfect. You're like, does it even have an X factor? Because it's just so great. But even Star Wars, you could almost kind of argue. Harry Potter. This one definitely is sum greater than the parts because the parts are crappy. But the X factor comes from the audience. That's what I was like realizing. So the spell is the nuance spell. I don't know if this is a spell, but hard to put in words. The audience has to decide completely for themselves without hints from the story. The example in Twilight is, are you team Jacob or team Edward? And it splits 50-50, and the discourse happens and it goes viral. People talk about it. It's actually kind of fun if you go into the story on those terms. And it was like a cultural phenomenon. I don't know if people, it's been a while enough now that people can forget, but it was as big as Harry Potter for a while. Like, Harry Potter has stood the test of time quite a bit better than Twilight, but it was totally as big as Harry Potter.
I can't believe you put Twilight on the same list as Lord of the Rings.
I believe that.
Yeah, I know. Dude.
Okay, so what you're saying is it's popular and it was a cultural phenomenon, but I don't think that necessarily means it's good, right? It's a cultural phenomenon, but a lot of entertainment that is cheap entertainment, but just very entertaining. And there's a lot of like blockbuster films that are, it's like the sensation is memorable and defines the culture, but is it literature? Does that mean it has the X factor, or was that just the right formula?
Well, is the X factor just that it stands the test of time, or is it the deal with the devil thing where like it ends up being a screw over in the end?
Like keeping up with the Kardashians, right?
Right, yeah, that's a cultural phenomenon too, but does it have the X factor? Like, to me, it depends on how you define the X factor. You can say the X factor is just whatever it takes for it, just something has an X factor if it is popular. And in that sense, you can have something like even with the Kardashians or just, I don't know, fantasy football, that could have X factor because a lot of people like it and it's entertainment, but it doesn't like change anybody's life. And the way I'm seeing it is like, I'm looking at stuff that's like Homer and Tolkien and great literature and stuff like Edgar Allan Poe, that people read those stories and they change. It changes your perspective. Like what I was saying, good art changes your perspective on the world. That's what I would go with to define X factor, but there could be a different definition. So I wouldn't put Twilight on the same level as like
Twilight probably changed your perspective on the world because you're like, this is
it made
popular.
Some people realize they want to fuck werewolves. That's what it did.
Like it did. Like,
oh my god,
does Honey Boo Boo have the X factor because it's like, this is a popular thing, like this is what the world wants? Like, it does change your point of view on the world.
I would agree.
I'm sure it changed people as well.
Miami Vice, I would agree. Daily Miami Vice.
Yeah. For the purposes of this presentation, the X factor, it's when the sum is greater than the parts, and how do you account for that? And then these last few slides are like, it's just almost exploring just those single theory that it's the audience. Like that is what brings the actual sum being greater than the parts. It actually, that fits with it being kind of accidental, unplanned, but the X factor being a thing like you can do everything you can do. You can get great story, great character. And then if you do all that, you're going to stand the test of time and you're going to change people's lives. But the X factor is kind of something different beyond that, even where it's at least in these slides is exploring, is it leaving room for the audience to like basically completely reinterpret what you've done in their own way for their own enjoyment. There's some interesting ways where that actually happens to Lord of the Rings though, which is kind of crazy, where Lord of the Rings right now, that might come up here. It's like freaking people are arguing over it, like or it's the previous slide, but it's like the left wing and the right wing are both trying to like claim it, and they're both like interpreting it differently. And there was only one interpretation from the author, but it's kind of the way that he set it up let room for people to kind of interpret it differently. A huge example of that too is like Watchmen, where people end up loving Rorschach. Rorschach is an X factor because that wasn't planned. That wasn't a planned part of the book that he would be like the cultural phenomenon of that book.
Right.
That was not the point, but that was the thing that happened. So then that's the X factor.
Do you think the X? Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. I'm basically done with my point there.
Right. I was going to question the point of, do you think the audience decides the X factor, or are they part of the component that makes the so-called spell work? Because I think the creator can have all this preparation and then have a good idea, and then there's some kind of esoteric knowledge or collective consciousness or whatever that's injected into the work, but also you have to put the work out at the right time where the audience is receptive to their work. I think that's probably like what I was mentioning. That's what happened to artists like Van Gogh. It's like the audience wasn't ready for him at the time, but other work like Star Wars, it comes out and it's a huge hit because the audience was ready. So I think it's not so much the audience decides if something has an X factor. It's part of what makes it work. They're part of the spell.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with that. It definitely. And one last example too, that's almost similar to Twilight, but I've noticed this with the King Arthur legend, is that it's actually kind of nuanced in this way where Arthur and Lancelot are both awesome dudes, and obviously Lancelot's the one, he's kind of he's cucking King Arthur or whatever, but people will kind of pick sides there, and the story, it doesn't really make one good and one bad even, really. It's like you can pick whoever you want. The story kind of gives you free will, which is that's kind of crazy. Like, I don't know if too many stories do that. Usually your story's like, it wants you to think something and it builds a great argument for it, and then you can end up thinking it basically. But I'm like, are there stories where they don't do that, where they just kind of present some shit?
Baking in collaboration with the audience.
Yeah.
Someone in chat mentioned Magneto versus Professor X, and I think that's a good example. I think if you can present a story from one point of view, like here's your protagonist and then it had antagonist, but if an antagonist is written in a way you can disagree with them, but they're still believable, you can have teams like that. Or it's like even Berserk, you have people that hopefully jokingly Team Griffith, but yeah, it's more about you present a compelling argument.
Wait, but being Team Griffith is kind of like the reckless, hedonistic abandon of being Team fucking Palpatine. Like, that guy is so motivated, right? You just can't help but enjoy that. Like, yeah, this guy is just doing what he fucking wants.
It's just like complete utilitarian appreciation for someone that'll do the most evil shit. It's like, okay, you can appreciate their dedication, but I hope it's like you can say, well, do you condone the actions? Because that's the point. I don't know. I find those kind of characters very interesting. But we're getting off track. It's like the dedication is fascinating, but it's how they do it. And Magneto kind of has a similar thing.
Griffith ended up
Vaughn is Team Palpatine.
There you go, Palpatine.
Have you seen the theory that Jar Jar Binks is actually like the ultimate Sith Lord?
Yeah, Sith Binks. That would have at least been okay. Politician Binks, worst ending. Like anything would have been better than that. Just keep him as a goofy retard still. Just double down. Or yeah, go full Sith Binks.
Yeah. Yep. So that
would have been the X Factor.
Accidental.
Sith Binks would have been the X Factor.
Barbie has a huge X Factor. That's another one that may get the chat mad. Ken was kind of an X Factor. People like pulled that out and loved Ken.
It was so good.
Yeah.
But I watched some. I still haven't seen it, but one of my friends was like, "You got to see this," and he put on the music video of Ken. I forget which song it was. Even like I'm Ken Nuff, maybe I forget, but
on the beach.
It was great. It was great. I was like, "Oh, this movie's sweet." Like,
I was talking to a girl and saying like, "Oh, I was saying men can't." We're joking about men not being able to show emotions, and I'm like, if Ryan Gosling can't cry, none of us can cry.
Yeah. He's a monster. Narwhal, you're really coming off homoerotic.
Double
In
down.
Conclusion, what if our goal isn't to stand the test of time, but instead to uncover ancient secrets and take them to our grave? Esoteric. Let's go. Seriously, though. Consider a way to empower the audience with nuance. Compare apples to oranges. Consider the opposite and the opposite of the opposite. Consider the relationship of your celestial bodies, be it collaboration or elements within the story, and consider performing a human sacrifice.
Definitely the human sacrifice. No, I completely agree.
Seriously, though, maybe the SJWs were right. Maybe the deal with the devil is good. Maybe the sun is the ultimate thing in the universe. Maybe, maybe not. Doesn't hurt to stare into the abyss. Seriously, though, what kind of things are impossible to put into words in stories? Why do we want to tell the stories we tell? The wordless hits hardless. Seriously, though.
What does that mean? The wordless okay, this is just Narwhal's insane rambling. What is the wordless hardless?
No, this is number 4.
This is never gonna end. This is never gonna end.
20 more slides. Let's go.
I know. What does the wordless his heartless mean? Explain that. I mean, I was mildly following. This is you spinning around and being like, well, what about the other side? But no, what about this other side? But like, what did
it's the opposite of the opposite.
It's a spell, and it worked on Irene. It really got her going.
The words hit hard. So you were just like fucking up those words.
No, he's saying the wordless, as in leaving things wordless, can hit hard.
So you could have just said it in a more clear way instead of being confusing.
No, are you saying that the things that the things that are unsaid are the hardest to discover?
He's saying show don't tell, and show don't tell is more powerful sometimes.
Oh,
perhaps that's yeah.
But that's easy though.
Who knows?
Yeah,
not always.
Seriously though, so much ancient knowledge was forgotten. Recovering it is not a process involving language. What does that mean for storytelling? The end, and that's the real.
Is it really? Is it really?
Yeah.
Really? Oh my god!
Go back to the Princess Mononoke slide. Eric Huffle said that's John Malin in Sonichu.
Oh, that makes sense.
Nice.
I got you, Eric.
Cool.
Did I just peek out my mic?
Yes. Yeah. Probably. Your mic was like, that's enough of that.
What I took away from this.
What is the takeaway? How do we apply any of this?
Crisis says, I forgot about 3 ancient knowledge since listening to this stream.
Yeah, we need to find that. No, I liked what Irene said about her. Was it you, Irene? You were talking about Jordan Peterson was saying that artists are the ones that let us teach us how to look at the world differently.
See through new eyes or something like that. I really like that. I remember that, and that was a great quote.
I think that is important to being storytellers is to tell the truth through your stories and try to relay that truth to the reader, and seeing that as kind of a responsibility. In some ways, you know.
Yeah, I mean, what I took away from this was it was it's hard to do a presentation on, and I appreciate that Narwhal has made like 50 slides based on something that is impossible to actually
25.
define. Okay, 50, because that's how what it felt like. But it was essentially, but it was good though. It's good because it's sort of, in summary, there's esoteric knowledge that isn't teachable, but if you try hard and you aim to show people the world through new lenses, like what Phil was just talking about, and I agree with that. That's why I remember that quote. Then that knowledge will come to you, and I found it very motivating. So even if we can't define it or teach anything, I think this is very motivational.
Take alternate paths and trust your intuition on that path to find hidden knowledge that you will not be able to pass on. But yeah.
Yeah, right? Or you can try.
Just hold it forever and take it to your grave, and
throw it back in the lake afterwards. Like it's like take alternate paths and trust your intuition to help you find secret knowledge that has already been discovered before, and throw it back into the lake, and you'll get to wield it for a time, only to throw it back into the lake yourself.
And sometimes if you find like some really useful like information and you want to share it, sometimes you can say it, and just people it doesn't land, it kind of goes in one ear out the other.
That's like not being able to say it, right? You're saying it, but it's not actually getting across. Like it's unsayable because people won't fucking listen to you.
Yeah, that's a little bit like Spielberg saying, just don't be boring. It's like, to him, he's thinking of his entire career and growing up as a kid, making movies with his friends. And to us, we're like, what the fuck? That's your advice? Fuck you.
Yeah, but it's sort of this idea of, if you just have to commit, because you can take an idea, like, just don't be boring, like a commitment like that, or a very basic story idea, even if it's tropey or cliche on the surface. But I think if a writer commits to it and really explores it, so what not be boring me? How can I just absolutely live this in my work and make every line and the presentation every way really interesting, even if I'm telling the most basic, like, standard cookie cutter hero's journey story? And I think if you approach it that way, you can find success if you just commit, right? I think a lot of this comes back to if you're willing to just be absolutely obsessed with it and pay the price. If that's, making a deal with the devil, perhaps that's what it's tying into, then you'll eventually, that esoteric knowledge has a good chance of coming to you.
Yeah.
Novel.
Yeah.
I got an angle that you might not have considered with this whole thing. You have the audience and how they can power up the X Factor.
Mm-hmm.
How about the audience being able to completely destroy the X Factor? Like, say, a fandom for a thing ruins the thing. Like, it had the X Factor, but then like the audience,
like furries,
like almost any fandom that gets out of control for like a really popular thing. Like say like Adventure Time, for example. Now they're doing like Fiona and Cake, which feels like a fan reaction-y. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, like fan fiction bastardization or whatever.
Are you talking about works where the creator starts changing their creation because of fans?
No, I'm not. I'm like, you could have something that, yeah, Vaughn says Five Nights at Freddy's, but that's still, I'm trying to think, like, can the audience reaction to something ruin a good thing for other people? Do you know what I mean? Like, can they make someone, even though that has a real X factor to it, make them be like, no, I'm not actually going to bother with that?
Bronies?
Yeah.
Stuff I can't, that's the first example I can think of, but I know there's more. Yeah, it could kind of be like, well, the work is still good, but the fans made it weird. Not often, though.
You know what? One that is a little weird like that is The Last Jedi, the middle of the new trilogy. That one is funny because it genuinely has two factions arguing. There is people that really like it and argue that they love it. Because I think that's generally agreed for the people who do like new Star Wars. They say that's the best one. Because the other two are like, well, the first one is like, okay, whatever. The last one is absolutely terrible. The middle one's kind of weird. Like, it's like kind of.
Yeah, people were kind of, I think at that point before the third one came out, a lot of people were like, well, it's totally going in the right direction. And the other half was like, no, this is not going to turn out well. And then the third one came out and everybody agreed it was dead.
I only watched the first one, thought it kind of sucked, and didn't watch any of the others.
Oh, yeah. Good for you.
I think I watched all three, but I can't remember that because it was so bad and unmemorable.
You guys seen the first one?
It's trash. Dongo Solo asks, can the audience reaction change the course of a story? I personally don't think a creator should ever do that.
I can think of a few examples where that's happened. But yeah, like I think one is some of Star Wars. I don't think they knew Darth Vader was Luke's father for the entire first movie. They figured that out for the sequel. And then, but a kind of interesting one is they were then planning on killing Han Solo, but his toys were selling so good that they kept him alive.
Wow, that's a good example. You can also have shows that go on for so long that fans of the shows end up working on the shows and push it in a different direction too. That's like true. The Simpsons has gone on for so long. I wonder how many generations of Simpsons fans have kind of like ended up working on that show.
Good point. I saw a YouTube video and I haven't watched it yet, but the headline says like the
Simpsons is good again. Yeah. Those always pop up every now and then. Yeah.
Pretty sure. Yeah, Archer had the same thing kind of happening, but it helps that it was like one writer through the whole thing. The entire thing. Poor Adam.
Until now, until the last season.
He was done for so long, dude. He was like, that's why Archer went into like a coma, because he was just like, I need change.
I was thinking about Archer the other day and how like being one person who's working on one project for so long, and it's not just like, oh, Holofist, you work on it for 5 years and where is it? But more like it's a successful thing that keeps you going. Like you can't turn away from it almost. Do you know what I mean? Like, is it like golden handcuffs? Like this thing is super successful. I don't really want to do it anymore, but I kind of have to. But like I want to. Like you're almost like in a prison in your own mind of like I should do this, so I will, but I don't want to.
I think it depends because everybody's different. A lot of people they get really bored with working on something for a long time, and you have to know what type of creative you are. And some people can only manage limited, well-planned-out stories, and when they try to do giant fantasy trilogies, it becomes 5, 6, 7 books, and they never finish it. So you need to know your limits.
Yeah. By the way, guys, let's officially enter the second half. I'm going to play this random video.
I like that you got a little.
You guys are adorable. That was very
adorable. The wrong show.
I know. I was like, how you completely forfeited our glorious cat video.
That's not the Halloween second half video introduction.
Yeah.
Hey, it's the Nightmare Before Christmas. It's existential.
It's a nightmare, all right.
Now that all of our pants are off, that's right, Crisis.
All of our clothes off.
Section.
Yeah, this is what my skin looks like underneath.
Oh wait, this is a different stream. I wasn't expecting this. Is that a sweater?
Speaking of clothes off, did you guys see that Twitch allows autistic nudity now?
Yes, autistic nudity.
Yeah, I'm thinking of indulging, getting them out.
Allow nudity? I have no idea because I just assumed Twitch was just pure thottery.
Well, I think it just means some people can draw like naked art, but it can't be too sexual or something. Like it's still murky. But yeah, there was like,
so they allow body painting, officially, and
Success.
Artistic nudity. But then also they said twerking and pole dancing is allowed now.
Okay.
So they're declaring twerking as non-sexual.
I'm shocked that twerking and pole dancing were not allowed before, because they have like hot tub streams, like fucking what?
Well, what's sexier, being on a pole or lying in water?
I don't know. I'm not a guy.
That's it. We need the vote.
Being on a pole, probably.
Yeah, I would think being in a pool and is like more. I don't know. Everybody's going to Twitch. Cool. All right, chat's abandoning us for Twitch. Honestly, that artistic unity, I do kind of agree with that as an artist, because sometimes I post stuff on Twitter and like I'll draw some like half naked fantasy girl just because it's pretty. I mean, you guys know I like drawing my boobs, and like not my boobs, fantasy boobs. And Twitter is like, yeah, not my boobs. Twitter is like, oh, this is nudity, and they'll flag me, and it's fucking annoying as shit because I just like to draw naked chicks.
Yeah, one of my streams that's been blocked was like coloring that Gem-Shark piece. And it was like the last one. So I guess it was like, there's way too much flesh tone. I did halfway through the episode do the wounded variant where there was some redness around certain parts of the crystals, but
I did this stream like forever ago on YouTube where I drew there was this joke, like Red Rocker started this joke, I was gonna do a bikini stream, and it's like I ended up drawing characters in bikinis because of course I'm not gonna do a bikini stream. But like it was, I drew Ragna with her like she just wasn't wearing anything, but it was like strategically covered, like her hair was over her chest, because I'm like, in Fiendish people don't wear swimsuits, they just swim naked. So I was like, here's a swimsuit stream. But everything was covered and I still got flagged. Like YouTube literally struck me and was like, you need to change this thumbnail. And I'm like, but everything's covered, bitch.
There's got to be some really prudish people like Miss Lady Furnace level in Fiendish where they're like, no, I will wear. They're still a never nude no matter what. Like, Miss I will Lady wear.
Furnace.
From BLIZOCK.
Yeah, but meanwhile, there's like fucking naked yoga on YouTube, and they're fine.
Meanwhile, you say meanwhile? That's like a variation of narwhal. Meanwhile.
FKA, he goes, I wish I lived in Fiendish land. FKA, you would get raped immediately by a demon.
Oh my god!
That's why he wants to go. Don't judge him.
God, someone clip that and send it to Camel Moon so you can put it in something.
Jesus.
You get raped immediately.
Oh my god.
I'm gonna clip that and send it to Camel.
Naked yoga is educational. Well, yeah, so it's kind of a lawless world, but there are hot chicks swimming naked while the deed is getting done. So
and you can rape them.
Oh my! Yes. Wow.
Without repercussion, apparently, if it's a lawless world, it's just free reign. It's rape all around.
Well,
Jake took it too far.
I don't think it's taking this way. I mean, Jake, your fantasies are going a little, wild here. Don't say them out loud. You might be in trouble if they happen to be a Ispoliad shaman, and then you just get blasted into oblivion. So.
Oh yeah.
Yes, you have to keep that in mind. Fair warning.
I got our sites up here. We'll do a little promotion. Phil. Should I? Well, this is the site, zadecomics.com. So
yeah, if you guys go to the site, we're actually shipping out some books yesterday that someone bought. I don't know, maybe they bought them off of TikTok, since I've been posting TikToks. I don't know, but thank you guys for going here. If you guys want shirts, if you want big hardcover books, CG Vacation, Magic Hop, we got a bunch of those. Or if you guys haven't backed the Lost Pages 3, you could find that link on the site too, all the way at the top. Where you see all the Lost Pages 3 stuff. I'm all caught up with letters. I think we have like 9 or 10 pages left to get through for the Grimstone book for Lost Pages. Right there where it says pre-order.
Oh, yeah. For some reason the pre-order was throwing me off. But yeah, that's what crowdfunding is kind of.
It's for normies that don't know what crowdfundings are. So yeah, you could go and grab a a copy of the Lost Pages 3. We got our second issue with the People Ash Can on there as well. I'm trying to find a cool non-spoilery page to show you that I've lettered.
The last one. The final page, Phil. That's
Maybe
like not spoilery, cool. Right?
Yeah, I'll share my screen. Because I've been doing, as we've been talking to, I've been working on some edits on lettering because I'm reprinting. Well, this is from the reprint, the tome. So I had the Myth of the Lost Pages stories that were from our supplemental first campaign. I sent them to a copy editor and he had some notes for me. So I just did relettering stuff. And this page actually would have no color on it. So it would be gray toned. So yeah, so I did a little, finished all the edits on that for the tome. So we're getting the tome ready to be printed, which you guys saw, the little manga size book. And then here's some badass art that maybe you guys have not seen yet of Jazz waking up from a little nap and finding ways to it. Yeah, pretty.
Oh, I love those dangling eyeballs.
Yeah, freaking awesome.
That's a great design. That's badass.
So a lot of it's all already lettered. Pages are at the colorist, and tomorrow I'm getting another new page. So super freaking excited. We're so close, guys. I'm thinking this is gonna be ready for print by the end of January and going out to everybody, because right after that we're gonna be hitting you guys with another Crimstone campaign, that crossover. So everybody get excited, get ready, and we're trying to get stuff done ahead of time so we could just roll right into the next product and get more stories out for everybody. Thank you.
Awesome.
Ooh.
Hell yeah.
Looks great.
Now Go Solo asks, how many books do you keep going at once, Phil?
Like working on you. How many plates you spinning there?
I'd say right now 3, if you count like artists under me that I'm kind of managing on my stuff, and then I'm also writing a 4th for another person right now. So yeah, I got well, I guess it would be 5 because I got Crimstone, the People, and then my Western, the crossover, and then this thing I'm writing for someone else. So a lot of plates.
Cool.
Busy.
Speaking of busy.
Here, and in addition to that, back Fiendish! This is fiendishcomic.com, my comic website. It's super awesome if you haven't seen it yet, which I don't know how you haven't seen this website because I pivot all the time, and it's absolutely amazing. But if you haven't seen it, you should definitely check it out. There's an email sign up. It's sort of like this unified, mega, giant, huge email sign up list that I need to use more. But you can sign up there so you don't miss any updates for any upcoming campaigns. Currently, we have chapter 2.5 that is live on Fund My Comic, and you can also access it through the website because it's mirrored on the site over here. It's like right at the top on the drop-down menu. And we just crossed 25,000 not so long ago, so thank you guys so much. 2.5 is the first standalone one-shot to the Fiendish series. And it's a story about what happened to Casimir, my main character, after the destruction of his hometown. And we get to find out more about the world and some of the other characters that we saw in chapter 1 and chapter 2. And this will be fulfilling in very short order. So it'll be printing in like February and fulfilling by April. I set it for April, but I'm hoping to fulfill like print in February and fulfill, right after that, of course. So all the art is done. It's being colored by Jake and it is drawn by Michael Rushbrook. All of Michael's work is done. He finished in months ago. It looks amazing. I'm so proud of it. I can't wait for you guys to get this book. So please check it out if you guys are interested. It's a very book-focused campaign. I just put some stretch goals on. So if we just hit the first stretch goal, which was 25,000. And the next few is like, I think, a bookmark and then a free poster for everybody. You guys know I deliver the goodies with stretch goals. So help us get to 28 and then 30,000. 30,000 is the free poster for everybody. Let's get there. That'll be great. And I know you guys are going to love this book. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Yeah. Looking good.
Yeah.
I've been
nice job coloring, Jake.
Cool stuff.
I've been toiling away at this constantly. I realized I can sit in the living room. I watched the whole through the Berserk anime this week while just sitting and working on this. Like I can sit in the living room with the Christmas tree covered in hedgehog ornaments, and like I have the cushion tray on my lap and the iPad on it, and I watched all through freaking Futurama. Yeah, I've just been sitting and coloring all the time.
I didn't know you Brits celebrated Christmas. I thought you celebrated Satanic Krampus.
No, that's other Europeans.
We gather around the blood and bone tree and open off flesh boxes.
But no, seriously, some like European countries have wild ass like Krampus or Yule celebrations along with Christmas. It's kind of badass.
Literally, the Christmas tree was like a German thing, right? They used to put candles on the tree. Like it's a European thing.
Yeah, what do they call it in German? Tannenbaum.
Wait, what? I've heard that word before, but from the South Park episode.
There's a Nightwish song, or no, there's a Tarja Turunen song. Anyways, I don't know.
Speaking of anyways, I don't know.
Carnbarb.
Carnal Barbarian. This is my comedic fantasy book.
What am I? Sorry,
the Royal Tenenbaums. Like, what are you on about?
Sorry.
Yeah, so as soon as I've finished coloring Fiendish 2.5, I'll be able to get on and start drawing Connell. I'm so looking forward to it. You can go to connellcomic.com and like put your email in and sign up. We're on our way to like 200 signups. But yeah, it follows the adventures of the titular character Connell as he inserts himself into yet another crazy adventure through the world of Deploria. Like, so this will be like the first of 3 books that will have like a whole story in 3. It's gonna be like 50 pages, so the first story is like 150. They'll make a cool little set. But yeah, he's in hiding in the Simonium forest, and he thinks if he hides in the forest, then no one's ever gonna come and bother him. But it just so happens to be the one place where a scout team of Blorks try to invade the human kingdom of Humanistan. But it's so convoluted. It's gonna be really good. It's gonna be great. And yeah, if you do sign up, there's you'll get a one of those free training card things for signups. Remember those? Yes. Featuring wonderful art by Irene down there of a little cool hedgehog. Because it couldn't be anything else. It has to be a hedgehog.
Hedgy. Yes. Sign up for this. You will there's boobs and glowing dicks, but there's more depth to it than you might think. I guess. I hope.
More depth. it needs more depth.
More depth. I don't think he does.
We must go deeper.
I think he's fine. I think he's fine.
That's the X factor for this one is sexual innuendo.
Yeah.
Yes.
The blue dick. BlueDickX.com, everybody.
Yeah. Discover in the first story, in the first book, discover what his mysterious power that no one knows what it is.
You said is.
They don't know what it is.
Oh,
yeah, I did a reversal of reversible. Yeah, go sign up right now. Do it. You know you want to. Or even if you don't
great.
want to.
Can't wait for you to release it. Too bad that you keep taking gigs helping Irene and you're never going to finish it.
Yep.
Oh yeah. So
that really is. Like, honestly, whilst doing 2.5, I have been sitting there coloring like, wait a minute, wasn't I supposed to be drawing my own book?
I mean, you volunteered, and I was like, yes, I need a colorist. So.
Yeah, I offer myself. I offer myself up for sacrifice.
Thank you. You're doing great work.
I'm taking the esoteric path of working for somebody else for once. What?
Yeah, it's the opposite. It's like, I should probably finish my book, but what if I didn't? What if I?
No, you should definitely.
What if I dedicated all my time to someone else's project? That would be so out of character.
It's just a couple more months. You'll be fine.
It's going well. I'm loving it. I'm loving
coloring. A worthy cause. Yes,
definitely.
Yes.
Hotel story. So for this, me and Jared tomorrow we're starting. I have all the screenshots of all our emails, hundreds of them. So we start compiling the making of book. We have hundreds of sketches and development stuff. And an interesting thing with this too is we've even, based on a fair amount of feedback. We're doing, I don't know, like a last round of edits, and we're adding 3 pages at the end. We're changing a little bit of the action. Jake, we took your layouts because Jake submitted new layouts for one particular little action scene, just 1 page, but we just went with that. And so yeah, we're just polishing it, and it feels good to like do that. I did that way back in the day with Earthbound. I got like some kind of crazy, hilarious, awesome feedback from a couple dudes, just real harsh. And I listened to everything they said. And I ended up redrawing almost 20 pages, new scenes, a new beginning, new opening, new dialogue. And it obviously it helped it a lot. It was kind of fun to like really go to the grinder with trying to just improve books absolutely as much as you can.
Yeah.
And with this one of the interesting ones I realized is a few people gave feedback where they were like the character development isn't strong enough. And I was thinking like, I almost feel like the opposite. The characters are absolutely my favorite. But I told Jared, I was like, I know why they're saying that, Jared. It's because we have our main goal, which is like to survive the witch's spell. But within that, the characters, they're kind of in the hotel, and tomorrow's the tennis tournament, and they're doing stuff. A few of them do have like their own little mini goal, but not all of them do. And I was like, let's see if just with dialogue, we can give everyone a little mini goal. And that kind of gets usurped by the big goal. Once the witch casts her spell, then it kind of becomes to survive. But that'll be like some extra little juicy character development. So we did a writing session where we're just kind of rewriting based on the art, but just picking moments and putting them in, plugging in, getting every character their moment. Like there's a girl, she's listening to a message from her dad, and he's like putting kind of pressure on her as a tennis player. Like, so that's in there now where it kind of wasn't before. And a lot of fun stuff came out of it. One of the funniest ones, I think this isn't exactly spoilers, and me repeating it, like, it's not like it's going to be amazing, but we have one character, he's an accelerationist. And it's a mystery what he's up to, but he's kind of up to no good, and he's kind of tinkering in his room, and he's kind of paranoid. He's talking to himself as he's doing it. And he's like, is what I'm about to do, is this the kind of thing that you should write a manifesto for? Yeah. And then he's like, what would I even write? And then the door gets knocked, and he has to like answer it or whatever.
That's great. That's a good line.
Yeah, that line made me laugh kind of a lot. I hope people laugh when they're reading it in the book. Definitely going for some jokes here and there, but I mean, it's a horror adventure story. So it's like, it's not exactly a comedy. It's kind of a subgenre of horror where it's like just the fun horror, like Evil Dead 2 is kind of like that. Dead Alive is kind of like that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It has a fun feeling to it, but it doesn't remove the stakes. Like there's sweet character moments that are humorous, but it's not like, it doesn't take you out of it. It kind of like endears you to them. Yeah, not like Marvel quips in the middle of some shit or whatever. It's like, yeah, like they're genuine characterful moments, not like copy paste snarky comment. Like you really feel the characters through the way that they express themselves comedically sometimes. So have you done more retakes of like some of the different gags, like the physicality of it and how they're conveyed through the panels? Have you like that?
Yeah, I did, but just like 2 or 3 spots in the book, adding a new ending, which just extends it a little bit more. Because that was another funny thing. It's like what's in your head or whatever. You finish it, and I'm like, oh, it's about a witch, casting a mass sacrifice spell, and they have to survive. And I'm like, is that even in the book? Like, do people finishing the book, do they even know that? Like, we should probably answer that question. Like, it does get answered and sure enough, it kind of gets a little bit more answered in scene 1 of book 2. So I was like, well, let's just do the first page of book 2 as the end of our book. So then we actually see like a little bit more what's going on and answer some questions, give people more of that feeling of like a full course meal with the book. Yeah, I really like you had this finished months ago, and then you got a bunch of feedback, and like you're still like working on it and developing it. Like I really enjoyed what I read, so I'm looking forward to seeing the final version. It's got to be good. Yeah, you'll chuckle at a few of the changes for sure. I'm thinking some of them they tickle me. I'm very excited. I'm enjoying the process a lot. It's nice. Good. Hell yeah.
Coming back to stuff is probably, I mean, for the best, everybody's like, oh, don't put out your first draft and all the time they say that, especially for writers. But like I've written stuff and then let it sit for a really long time, and then came back to it and added more pages or changed things. And even with like the campaign we're doing right now for Crimstone, like since the start of the campaign, I added like 8 pages to it, to the end of it, to try to make the climax more impactful and stuff like that. So I am getting the habit of doing that, I think.
Yeah, I'm so fucking looking forward to making a start and drawing Connell. Like, I know it seems like, oh, he's been talking about this for ages, and now he's doing other stuff, and like, where's this project going? I keep looking over my layouts every now and then, like I leave gaps, and every time I'm not like, oh, I want to change this dramatically, like that's all set, but I see more exciting panel layouts. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, sure. Definitely.
And I'm picturing them and looking forward to drawing them.
Sorry to cut you, or I didn't exactly cut you off, but I sort of did. I started interrupting. Taylor Swift greater than Disney, Star Wars, and MCU for $2. Where's Rini's wrench? You're fired. I can amend that. I think I'll try.
Where's my wrench? Oh, I'm offended.
So rarely comments. I have to have it open on the YouTube to wrench you, but I can do that because we're just hanging out.
I just commented about being a vampire.
Yeah. I want to point out how funny this name is, Taylor Swift greater than the Disney, Star Wars, and MCU, because whoever this is, they're on board with the plan to save comics. Because if we save comics, it's going to involve the Swifties. The Swifties are the key.
So, yeah.
Are they?
Like, that's how we do it. We got to recruit the Swifties powerful. Into comics.
Whatever it takes, I will take that deal with the devil if that means saving comics. I'm willing to sacrifice.
And the devil is Taylor Swift.
I'm willing to sacrifice my.
Yeah, Rini, Taylor Swift is actually a dude, and he's heterosexual, so you have to seduce.
Oh
him.
My god! Wait, if she's actually a dude, and I mean that wouldn't be so bad. But that would be kind of.
I just made the Swifties mad. The whole plan's off. Shit, I ruined it.
I know. No, what have you done?
You fumbled it.
This is like kind of weird and serendipitous. Is that how you put it? That we're talking about Deal with the Devil and Taylor Swift keeps coming. It was like literally just saw like 2 YouTube channels that I follow that are talking about Taylor Swift, and it's like, is she brainwashing Gen X or Gen Z, or did she make a deal with the devil? And I'm like, it's really weird. We just haven't been talking about her. Maybe she did. I don't know, but
yeah,
say comics.
You gotta take one for the
thank
team.
You. Buy my comic, Taylor.
The devil was her ex-boyfriends, and the deal was being in a relationship with them so she could bitch about them later.
Right? Yeah, that's her inspiration for music, was just like have a bunch of relationships and that never last.
You need to date Taylor Swift normal. You need to be the one to sacrifice.
She needs to
sacrifice you to her.
Yeah, I'll take one for the team. She'll write a song about all of us.
I'm sure it'll be such a sad. It'll be so hard. I know it must be really traumatic.
She's got.
She just needs
boy body.
I know, she might be a crazy bitch.
Phase.
She had that like one music video where she was just like this crazy bitch and chasing her rich boyfriend away or something. It was pretty good actually. It was fun. Rich people usually a little off their rocker.
Yeah. Oh, you guys check this out 1 second. I gotta reshare with audio.
Guys, I have a lamp. I changed it to a little more purple because people said I look like a vampire. I have a lamp so I don't look like I'm a vampire on stream.
Crap. I don't know if I forget if I clicked.
Californication with its Donkey Kong sounds. You'll see.
Yeah. Can you hear this?
Yes, I love stuff like this.
And this doesn't trigger like the shit or whatever. It's like all free to use.
Oh really? You can play it. Oh, it's funny. Wait, so if you just filter music enough, you can play it just fine.
Yeah.
Well, MIDI
there's
stuff
Mario
is always
64 filters and Donkey Kong filters for like every classic album.
We need Donkey Kong filter on ska music for Phil.
Yeah. I'm gonna give Rini a wrench while we listen to this.
It's too late. I feel betrayed. Never fixed it. Yeah, that's fascinating. You can just filter this shit out.
No singing along. No, actually, maybe we should.
For the mountain
Which is the most esoteric path? Singing or not singing?
Live on the edge, Narwhal. Take the path least taken. Let's all get
Intuition.
Dream of.
Grammarly now uses
Oh,
AI
I was like, dude, it ended.
He doesn't have an ad block or YouTube Red.
Oops, I accidentally banned you, Rini. Sorry.
Oh my god! I'm quitting this show for the 5th time. I'm out. I'm out. How dare you?
I don't know if that was accidental. That's like that's god tier negging.
I don't know if that's negging or just like disappointing, really.
There you go. That's the cope of someone who's being negged.
Really? Is that the effect that you want?
My finger slipped. Now I have to go into like the innards of YouTube and find you and unban you.
It's
That's
just,
esoteric.
it's just hatred. Yeah, it is just hatred.
Yeah.
My
It's the
god!
underworld.
What the hell? To be
What's
fair,
like one of
YouTube
the-
needs to move those block and moderator buttons.
What's one of the like ancient Greek tales where a guy has to go to the underworld to rescue the girl?
Flowers for Algernon.
That's me unbanning Rini when I choose to.
Hercules, Kratos,
Oh,
Kratos did that a few times.
Hercules saving Meg from the soul suit.
That's all I know. It's fucking god.
Yeah, Disney's Hercules. What a good film.
It was
Underrated.
Oh yeah, nice. So I'm Hercules in this scenario. I'm okay with that.
My favorite
I
character was
unbanned it.
Herculad. Do you want to see more of my 3D print fails?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
did you break
Yeah,
it
yeah,
while
let's
we
do
were
it.
talking?
I'll go get some more.
I'm gonna have to go soon
Yeah,
because I need to
what?
finish thumbnailing.
I was just doing this.
Okay.
That's what the clicking was.
Yeah, yeah.
Thumbnail while you talk.
No, I can't thumbnail. It's like writing.
Rub your belly while you pat your head. Do it now.
God. No, I can't thumbnail while doing anything else.
Wait a
Just do. I
second.
have to put my mind to it.
All right, try this one out. Can you guys hear this?
Emmy Charmed Life.
Yeah. It's in a different key than the actual song. Sounds weird.
This is supposed to be Urbosa from Zelda.
Here, I'll throw you up.
Coming over you.
Well, I don't know. She's got nipples, so.
Oh.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah,
Did
it's
you-
just got nipples, but the ass is totally fine. It's just-
But look,
Did you model that, Jake, or did you like buy it?
buy it. I bought it. Oh, look, here's a
Hey.
leg.
No,
But these prints all fucked up, so I can't connect them.
Yeah,
because they're all fucked.
Just use Sculpey or Sculpting epoxy and connect.
No, it's like really ruined and stuff. But this one's actually successful.
Oh
Look,
yeah, that's nice.
What I love about this print is like the detail of the string.
Oh yeah. Oh, that
Yeah,
must
that's
be so
cool.
hard to print.
Hot.
Great.
It's working. You got it working.
Oh, and the muscles on the arms are really well done too. Hey, I
Yeah.
know both you and Phil do 3D printing, but now I'm wondering. I want to get 3D printed figurines done sometime. Maybe I should get
What I want to do is I want to model an articulated figurine of Connell and then 3D print it and then take a cast of the pieces and see if I can like make batches of them.
I should probably have someone working on a Ragna figurine.
It's Chun-Li. Yeah, send me that STL, Irene, or 3D print Ragnar.
It's not done yet, but when it's done, it's gonna be hot.
That's not-
Oh.
Look at this leg. Look at that fucking leg. Oh, the muscles. Oh, the muscles on that leg.
Jake likes thick, muscular legs.
Yeah, baby. Look at all the muscle definition on her back.
That is pretty great.
That's a Brandon Diaz ass right there.
That's right.
Back muscles are hard to draw, dude.
Big old booty.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm done. Unless you want to see my little amethyst hedgehog.
It's just a rock. It's literally just a rock.
That's a rock.
It's a hedgehog. It's got eyes and a face.
Oh my god. Do you guys see my skull?
Yeah, we look at it all the time.
Okay, haha. No, I have this like skull. And
nice.
I put my sunglasses and my fiendish beanie on. This skull is like a paper, like a napkin holder, Kleenex holder. But yeah, so anyway, I don't want to take it off because it's really hard to get this on right. But
wow,
there you
look,
go.
we're twins.
And look, it's my studio buddy, my best friend.
Now you're not lonely when you work.
Yep, exactly. I was like, where do I put my glasses? Because I always have these glasses shoved somewhere in a drawer. And
yo, Plagle, we got Plagle in the chat. What's up, Dan?
Plague, what's up,
Doctor?
Alex VRB? Do you got the meme ready? We'll look at the meme.
Yeah, give us the meme.
Yeah, get that meme ready.
Speaking of plague doctors, I have a plague doctor poster over there. I don't know if you can see it.
Oh yeah.
Oh, nice.
Sweet.
I got it at the Mutter Museum. That is this museum of like medical curiosities, basically. It's really cool. It was in Philadelphia. You guys should all check it out if you go.
The meme's out there. I'm sure you want to pull it up, Noel, so you can zoom around it.
Oh, the meme is out there?
The meme's out there. The meme is alive.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, let me get it.
It's actually been out for a bit, I think.
I can't. He said he tagged me. I don't see it.
Just go to his thing.
Hey, I'm going.
Doing crystal meth, they lift you up until you break. It won't stop. That song's about doing crystal meth, guys. I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah.
Look, I got my skull.
Oh, hey, twinsies!
With a fez on
Oh,
it.
he's got a fez. That's nice.
Skull with a fez that doesn't fucking fit.
It's nice, bro. It's nice.
There you go.
Wait, I can't. I don't see the meme, you guys. Where is it?
Just go to Alex's page. I can pull it up.
Let me see.
Oh,
I don't see the meme either.
Share it first.
You did not make a meme. There's no meme.
Where?
All right, can I tell you?
I do see it. Hold on.
Look how freaking cute this guy is.
That's really adorable. And
There's two. You guys, there's two memes. I'm pretty sure.
I like how Jake has his room just surrounded by toys.
I got pervert Woody.
Oh my god.
Probably tag
Creepy Woody.
That is really creepy.
What is this crap song?
Chat, you guys are great.
So here's one. Here's like a quick meme.
Ooh, Napoleon.
Esoteric knowledge. Napoleon accessing it.
Beautiful.
Oh wait, did you just AI this, Alex?
Looks
Yeah,
like
it's
it's ornate.
He always AIs it.
Yeah.
No, some of them
And
look
then-
like you just Photoshop a bunch of shit together.
Yeah,
Here's
he
the
does.
real one though.
The base is AI. I think it's Photoshop.
But I can't zoom in. I didn't download it. I'm just on Twitter.
Just right click it and then open a new tab and then go to that tab.
Open the first one. The
Yeah, yeah,
first.
so that first one. And then you
There you
can
go.
zoom in and shit.
Oh boy.
Then you can
Oh.
control,
This AI
hold down control and scroll in and out to zoom.
What the fuck is happening?
And wherever I click, we can look. So
What?
up
He's
at the
got
top
the. What the fuck is that?
What is that from? Is that the
Lord
is
of the
that
Rings.
no? That's Satan. That's the devil that making a deal with.
Oh!
it's a waifu devil. Oh,
No,
much better.
anime devils are always cute schoolgirls. You know, you got the fence. You got the fence in there, very appropriate. You got Christmas decorations.
Wait, who's
Perfect.
sitting on the fence? Where's the
Why-
fence and who's sitting on it?
Why do you have a bunch of Star of Davids? Like, what?
Is he saying? Is he saying
Hanukkah.
Judaism is esoteric?
It's probably the first-
What the
first
fuck
one.
is happening?
Sword
Oh my
and
god!
Stone?
I feel like I'm in a fever dream.
All right.
Irene, you know that haircut? It kind of looks like Ren from this.
Oh yeah, totally.
Wait, I thought that was like a hood. Is that a haircut?
Yeah. It
Might be a
looks
hood.
like a bowl cut though. It looks like the Ren
now
from
I
this bowl
know.
cut.
Now I know to never get that fucking haircut because it's fugly.
All right, Phil has lightning in a bottle above his head. That's me.
Okay. Yes.
There you go. Oh, they are associated emblems. I don't know what the
Here's Jake.
The sun,
what the
praising the
fuck is
sun.
hell is sun? I guess. Wait,
What? What? Jake photoshopped onto Craven's body.
that's how I look. That's me.
Look, zoom in on
Okay.
me. What do I look like?
That's how I look IRL.
You look
Oh,
pale.
those are sorcerers, okay. I like it.
You're like a source gunslinger that also wants to be a witch or something. I don't know.
I'm into it. All right.
So, do
What
the
else we
stars
got?
above us, are they customized or are they just random? Like,
Why does my star not have a moon in it?
Because his is like yours looks like a chakra kind of guy.
it's the most hippie one. That's why it's yours.
I'm not a
What are
hippie,
the-
guys.
the
Believe it or
normal-
not,
God damn it, Narwhal.
I wear
Oh,
hoodies. Hippies don't wear hoodies.
Alchemical. Spellcasting.
Narwhal, if you knew
Esoteric.
how to hold down the control key and zoom in slightly with your scroll wheel.
Scroll wheel, hold control
Oh.
and scroll wheel.
There we go. Too much.
So does the pepper represent the spice?
What is the?
Wait, why you got a black cat in the moon? You get the moon.
He got the
Whoa.
moon.
I do
Is
feel
that
like
me
if
over
you
there?
see Black Cat and the moon should be Jake because that's his speed. Why am
You got
I?
the X in the center.
So I've got the sword. The sword. I don't like that. I've got
Gay,
Excalibur.
gay and
Sword in
waiting.
the stone. Yeah, nice. X Factor.
We do for the benefit.
Boba Fett right here.
Hot, spicy pepper.
You got spinning plates. Look, there's spinning plates on the top right.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
No one
that's
ever understands the metaphor that I tried to weave with spinning plates. Because the spinning is the cold, and the crashing to the floor is the hot storytelling.
The hot.
Yeah,
Wait,
the
wow.
emotional, the crescendo, the explosion. The spinning is the intrigue of the cold logic, and then when the plate finally falls, that's the warmth, emotional, like payoff.
I got you.
There's the three fences here. The way of the three fences.
No one's sitting on him. Irene should have been sitting on a big fence, going all the way down the middle.
No, not
Yeah.
me, jerk. It should have been Ashitaka because that's apparently your opinion of the story that you haven't watched.
Ashitaka.
How dare you?
That's racist, Phil.
What is that about Jesus?
You're not
No, allowed to there-
do it with a foreign accent.
What's the chili pepper? Is that just
Well, you're
Made it
playing
the
it
last
right now. He put it in right at the end. You're
Oh, there you
playing
go. The
Red Hot
chili pepper. The
Peppers.
hot.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. I can fucking hear that devil waifu.
Is this other side?
Senpai,
What would have?
would you like
Wait,
to make
Irene.
a deal with me,
Oh.
Senpai-kun?
This
is
scar tissue. Scar
Wait,
tissue.
everyone else, shut up. What did you say, Irene?
I said I can fucking hear that devil schoolgirl.
Okay, what did she say? Noel, turn the music off. Wait, we need to hear what she says. What do you mean? What
I
was the
already
impression?
said it. What the
I know
fuck
we
is
didn't hear
wrong
you.
with
Totally say it again.
Yeah, I didn't hear
You
what you
totally
said.
heard me. You're just weird. You want to say
No,
it?
go on. Say it again.
No, Jesus Christ. I
What did she
said
say?
I could hear her going, "Oh, hello, Senpai-kun. Would you like to make a deal with me?"
Perfect. There you go.
nice?
Are you
No,
happy?
I would. I would make that deal. I think.
I would make that deal actually. Yeah, I think.
Oh,
think
dude,
maybe
you
I would
know
be
your
okay with that deal.
dreams. Oh my
I think
God.
very much. Maybe I would kind of maybe. Yes.
You'll have to
This whole
sell your
stream has been-
soul.
This whole stream has been me slowly trying to justify making a deal with the devil.
Sell your
He's
soul,
like, push me over the edge.
Yeah.
Let me do it. Let's make it socially acceptable for me to make a deal with the devil. You sacrifice all your time anyway. You work all the time, so you've already made it.
Yeah, that's true.
I
You know,
don't. I sit and watch Futurama all day.
This is why I have no life. I feel like I already made the deal. So
I went back on the deal. I was like, I want my life back. I'm gonna claw something back from hell. Screw the sacrifices. I want everything back.
Nice.
So I got nothing done.
How about we make a deal with God, guys? Can we do that?
That's what I've been doing, Phil.
Jesus Christ.
God don't make deals. I feel like maybe.
He makes the one true deal.
Yeah, he did.
Well, whoever I made the deal with, I don't know, because I try to be normal every time it fails miserably. So I guess I'm just here. It's fate.
No.
Oh, my deal failed. If that's what you mean, my deal failed miserably too.
There's no normal.
Maybe you should just give in and
No, rebound time.
Separate from your ego and then reach the esoteric beyond. Alex BRB says, go back to the first one, Narwhal. Look at the code. Let me do that.
The first one. Oh, yeah. It said what did it say? Ornate, right?
Yeah.
My advice to any young man in the audience is build up a list of rebound phone numbers.
Jesus.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Shelby Robertson says, I made a deal with Bob Barker.
The code.
Oh, look at this.
That's hilarious, Shelby.
How do we
Someone
go there?
scan it and get a virus.
Holy shit.
Take down his super chat, Narwhal.
Oh,
No,
yes.
leave it up. It's covering the true power.
No, oh my god.
You can't unleash it. Oh, it's unleashed.
All right, let me see if I can scan it. My phone's about to die. It's a race against time.
It's gonna die as soon as it scans that code.
I know.
I'm not scanning the QR code.
Oh, I got it. It's x.com.
Oh.
Dun,
dun, dun, dun, dun, dun.
It's amazing.
Take that,
that's
Satan.
Hilarious.
The X Factor.
That is fucking brilliant. That's great. What are the other things on the door? Just like fucking nothing.
You never mentioned sexy women once.
Ooh, look at that.
Or what, X Factor?
Ornate, the true X Factor.
Yes.
I like Napoleon's postman pat hand.
That's an eye.
You guys don't know what postman pat is.
No.
What is this? What am I doing here?
Scar tissue that I wish you saw. I'm gonna put that back on.
Good job, AI art.
Good job, computer.
Yeah, good job, computer.
Oh my god! I told you guys. I was talking to a girl and I said I did art, and then she said a list of suggestions. Like, what kind of art? The first suggestion on her list, AI.
Oh yeah, that's funny.
The first one. What kind of art do you do? AI art. Yeah.
Like, bye. That's fucking.
How old was this person?
Let me check.
It must be. That sounds like a Gen Z or
exact same age as me.
That's wild.
That's sad.
I realize not everyone is one of us. Like, not everyone is in the realm of arts, creation, internet
out there.
I know, but it's one of those things where it's like, I'm not even a hoity-toity about like I'm an artist, but it's like it does get annoying because sometimes you know that look when you tell them, oh, I'm an illustrator and I work in like this or that, and they're just like, oh, that's quaint, and you can tell in their minds they're like, so you're a failure, right? Like they're being nice, but you can tell in their minds they're thinking, so you're basically unemployed. And I'm like, I've been gainfully employed forever, and I have to keep on being polite, and I can't. There's no way for me to explain to them unless I sit there for like 2 hours to convince them, okay, this is my career path. This is a real career. It's just it never stops annoying me.
No one is more employed than Irene.
I'm super
generally employed. Not always, but generally. I've managed pretty well. Fingers crossed.
I've managed to avoid having a job, like a proper job. I always fear that one day I'll have to, and I'll completely fucking fail at it. And I'll be like, no, my whole world's crashing down. I had all these years to prepare, and look what happened.
Real jobs are overrated. It's not for everybody, though. Like, some people just not fucking built. They're not fucking built for doing an office job. Like, I fucking hate having to do an office job ever. And
I find it so hard to do anything for other people. To do
yeah,
money, exchanging money for effort. What?
But some people can't do freelance. I think that's the majority of people. I think that's why society functions, because you need most people that are just really content having that stability and going to work, and that gives them a purpose, a routine. But then some people like us need to like do something wild and create something on our own. Otherwise we go stir crazy and bash our fingers against the wall. I don't know what's happening. What's going on? Oh, that's great.
You ever tried to seduce a woman by drawing her? It takes a long time. She's usually not in the mood. What's the... Now allowed on Twitch.
Amazing. AI art.
Oh my god.
Not AI art.
I forget why something you guys were saying made me think of that as far as like drawing and stuff. Practicing your art. I'm like Titanic.
What?
Like, what if he drew her and it was that? Oh my god.
She would be into it. Because she doesn't know. She doesn't know the difference. She's not an artist.
That's what it was. Something Irene was saying. This is what people think when you tell them you're an artist.
Oh yeah, no. I was coming back from the airport after Thanksgiving, and like literally, the airport guy who probably was hitting on me. He like helped me with my luggage, and he was like, you know, what do you do on all this stuff? I'm like, I'm an artist, and he's like, oh, so can you draw me? So like, I'll message you on Instagram. Like, I'll I'll pay you, and you can draw like, I have like all these ideas. Can you do my logo? Everybody wants a logo or a picture of themselves.
Dude, a guy
or drawing of their dog.
I couldn't imagine a guy asking a chick to draw them is.
I know that is like hyper gay.
Most
that is
femme thing ever.
Oh,
I've got that a lot. A lot. It's a common occurrence. You'd be surprised.
Why would a guy want a drawing of himself?
Yeah.
Does that happen to you guys though? Like with girls?
No, I think when it's the other way around, if a guy draws a girl, it's creepy. Like it gets more often than not, it just gets interpreted as creepy. Like, I drew you, look, like that whole thing.
If a girl is hitting on you, do you get girls saying, "Well, can you draw me?" Like, you know,
I've had all those things happen. I drew a girl in high school, and gave it to her, and it was creepy or like it was awkward as crap.
Oh my god! She didn't ask.
I saw her, yeah, I saw her years later, and she's like, you gave me that drawing. That was so great. Oh, I lost it. I was like, yeah, you should have.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm so bummed I lost it. I'm like, it was. Do you remember how awkward it was when I gave it to you?
I drew a girl like one-page comic with her in of her getting drunk and being an idiot, and then she actually prizes it. She every now and then she'd be like, I still have that comic you drew.
Oh,
I
nice.
love it. And I'm like,
it's humor.
You want to hang out? No.
I'll just look at your comic.
Yeah.
The greatest lie in Titanic was that most women it's like the whole, I don't know. Do you guys, is doing art a turn-off for women? Because that's a stereotype, right?
What?
What do you mean?
Is it a turn-on or is it a turn-off? Like doing
art.
art.
You tell us. We don't know if it's a turn-on or a turn-off.
You're the woman.
Because that's no. But I'm not normal. I can't comment on this.
You're the woman. No.
I think no, I can't comment on this. Surprise, guys! I'm actually a lady.
You're biased.
Girls, they do sometimes be like, "Oh, you got to draw me," and then that is like flirting for them or whatever.
I think. Okay, if a girl is like, "Draw me," don't do it, and you keep her on the hook. It's, you know what I mean. Like if you do it, they'll be like, "Oh, I guess you just did as you were told." Like there's no fight in it. You know what I mean? Because naturally, in relationships, everything has to be a constant, painstaking battle between the two of you, and no one can ever be happy or comfortable, right? That's how relationships work.
I think that's probably your problem. Is that's your approach, Jake?
Can I tell you guys about this collective consciousness thing?
Yeah, do it.
Yes,
it's bullshit.
All right, we were talking about you mentioned collective unconscious, which was coined by Jungian, Jung. Carl Jung when he was talking about all these archetypes and stories and stuff. So there was this experiment done in modern day fairly recently, and it was a test of a bunch of people on crossword puzzles. All right, so they had a bunch of people and they gave them all the same crossword puzzle to solve, and then they had their what's it called in experiments? Control group. Then you had your control group where this other separate group of people was given a bunch of random crossword puzzles, and within that set of random crossword puzzles, that one same crossword puzzle was in there that was given to the other big group that solved it correctly. And in the control group that had the random set of puzzles, on average, those people that were in the control group solved the single crossword puzzle that the others have already solved quicker than the rest of the random ones.
I think I just got a brain tumor.
So it's like
so in the
information is out there floating, they're picking up on it.
The theory is it would be learned through meiosis of the humankind. So now that a bunch of people had already done that crossword puzzle, in theory, humans as an organism have learned how to do it. So now we could do it faster.
That's the same as the 100th monkey. They had an island of monkeys that was like nuclear radiated, and they had to teach the monkeys to wash the coconuts so they wouldn't get the radiation going on. They were taking them in groups, and it's like by the time they taught the 100th monkey, all the monkeys knew how to do it, like as if there's like wireless communication of information. From my point of view, listen, if you can do Wi-Fi and if electromagnetic communication is possible, because we know it is, right, for radio waves, why would things not, and our brains can control, our brains manipulate, electrical signals. Mm-hmm. Why would a creature not evolve to take advantage of that? Like, that's a part of reality. Like, why would that not be part of evolution?
Mm-hmm.
Like, well, I do think there's this whole idea that people talk about a sixth sense, and you know how people sometimes you can feel if you're being watched and stuff, and there's a bunch of other senses that there's this weird thing. I was just listening to a podcast that talked about this, how there's certain limits to how your body can move. And even if you don't feel pain, you kind of instinctively are uncomfortable moving a certain way, right? Naturally. And it's just you intuitively know without being taught, like, you shouldn't do this or you'll hurt yourself. And then sometimes then another sense is like, when you're being watched, you get this weird uncomfortable feeling. Right. So I do think there's some kind of like electromagnetic energy permeating everything.
Well, what you're talking about, Irene, would be more of like something that's ingrained in us through ancestral learning.
Wi-Fi in the brain,
like genetic instinct, stuff like that. This crossword puzzle thing could be, it could be an explanation or a proof of like theorized simulation theory, right? Where the system is learning it because we're learning it. So now the system knows it, and now the humans are knowing it and are able to solve these problems faster.
Every simulation theory is like this tenuous, like there's this thing. Now here's how it fits into.
Well, I guess simulation theory rejected Jake. So
Jake's simulation crash.
Simulation reject them.
They got
me.
They got me. Yeah, they're trying to shut me up.
Well, no, it's the monkey internet, though. That's what it is.
When I heard that, that's where my mind jumped to. It was like, oh, fuck the simulation.
Right. Yeah, that is really interesting. Was it like they didn't even know? Because there's this whole thing. Well, if some people are complimented more before a test in a certain way, it depends. There's this whole like test I read about how women are more affected by compliments. So if they're complimented on their looks before like a math test, they do worse on the math test. It's like this really interesting psychological test. But my point is right, but it didn't apply to men. It was different. It was this kind of studied testing how people reacted to compliments and social pressure in different ways. But did they know that the other group succeeded? Because even if they didn't know the answers, just knowing that their counterpart succeeded, they had more confidence, because having confidence and being able to focus is like another factor in doing well, other than just having the knowledge, right?
Yeah, to my knowledge, it's just two different groups, control group and, you know.
But the same thing could be explained by our brains having a collective Wi-Fi that we can pick up, and to us it would be an extra sensory phenomenon, but it would just be brains being able to emit and pick up on electromagnetic waves, which they can. Like, we know that they can't. We can. The brain does do that. Our brains do give off electronic signals.
I would say your electromagnetic wave theory falls into the simulation as well.
Yo, Jake, why are you
everything,
so simulation
everything can fit into simulation theory if you think about it hard enough.
Yeah. Real quick, Wolfer, super chat, $5. Thank you, sir. From my experience, women seem to really like chainsaw wood sculptures of bears, humanoid elk, and giant mushrooms. I was like, is the chainsaw wood sculpture of bears then a new thing, just humanoid elk, and then a new thing, just giant mushrooms?
Yeah, yes. That's exactly how to read that.
I can confirm this. Yes, women do like these things.
Yeah, I think women would probably, that and appreciation of the art would probably increase dependent on how manly the process was to make it. And I think using a fucking chainsaw to carve the art out of a tree, that's probably like on the manlier tier than like, oh, I graced the page with a brush.
There is a certain attractiveness to like wood sculpting or like welding and shit like that's real manly. That's pretty.
It's true.
If he can throw a chainsaw around, he can throw me around.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Do things that indicate that you can throw women around. Just start throwing around sacks of flour.
Down the street tossing trash cans like, I'm strong.
Yes, kind of. To be honest.
Oh my god.
Like putting a shelf together or a shelving unit together, it's like he really knows how to put things in their place. I need putting in my place on a regular basis. This is the guy to do it.
I just
monkey brain tapped into. Pudding does sound
good. It's sort of true. That's like the deal with the devil is when you don't go by that, when you just do whatever you want and you're just drawing a stupid little comic and nobody takes you seriously, versus a promise from God where you chainsaw up a bunch of wooden bears and the chicks are all over you. That's like the true path.
No, I was gonna go chainsaw up a bunch of bears and
go chainsaw a comic.
Yeah, that would be really cool, actually.
Hieroglyphics, whatever.
Like do a comic in bas relief or something.
I might wrap this up here, even though this is good conversation. I kind of like whether or not it's simulation theory.
Yeah, we've settled on it. We've settled on it.
Just like it's never Lucas, it's never simulation theory.
We've settled on Jake being wrong and simulation theory being completely valid, and it makes sense.
You're the one who's not into simulation theory. You're like the Wi-Fi brain route, right? What? I didn't think you were a simulation head.
No, we're all.
What do you mean? Wi-Fi brain? What
You're
do you mean?
The Wi-Fi brain.
Wireless electromagnetic communication subconsciously between humans.
Yeah, but that's a built-in feature.
Yeah, how does that negate simulation? Because the nature of the universe. If you want to really get into nitty-gritty, I'm not a scientist, but all energy and all matter, it's all just energy. What we're made out of is atoms, and it's just energy. And waves are also energy. Mass and gravity are also correlated. Everything is kind of the same thing in the universe. So we're made out of the same thing as everything else in the universe is what I'm saying. So why wouldn't we be able to sense it? Why wouldn't we be able to tap into it in a certain sense?
That's my point. I agree. That's what I was saying.
Yep.
Was that what you were saying?
Yeah, that's the Wi-Fi brain thing. And then Phil's simulation theory over here saying it's all happening in some alien's computer that he made.
But simulation theory is simulation theory is not, I don't know why that got brought in, because that doesn't necessarily, like you were talking about Wi-Fi brain, that doesn't negate or prove simulation theory. It's just this whole, the way the universe is structured, it could not be base reality. It could be simulated